forces a jump with it this time, and they both stand.
Welcome everyone to the ECAC Championship. It's a Tuesday evening, which means you want some esports. I'm Hail Monkey Man in the booth alongside one of the greatest Texans to ever be blessed on the screen. He's got you not just 0, he's got you a 1. And he obviously can be here for all of your sight to see. It's Visionary One hanging out with me as we go into this spring final for ECAC as presented by Esports. You, Visionary, how you doing, my man? We're getting into what is your and I's last broadcast here before the big championships follow.
Yeah, also the last online broadcast for CECC, or I'm sorry, for ECAC in general this entire season. So definitely excited to get this last team into the spot. Remember, you're qualifying to be one of the 20 teams. It's the final spot. You have to win this game. And I couldn't think of any two teams more deserving, Monkey Man. A combined 20-0 so far run throughout this entire season.
It's been wild. They've been able to do it in every single capacity, only dropping a single game between them. That was Columbia College that did it in a 3-1 semifinal win over Wichita State. On the other side of things, Brewton-Parker College, the Barons, coming on completely perfect, a plus 84 round differential, and they have not dropped a map, which means the pool that we're going to be seeing tonight is going to be very important. Visionary One, let's go ahead and check this one out. Anything that stands out to you in a big way?
My favorite thing in the face of the planet, Columbia College might be my favorite team on earth right now. Thank you for banning Icebox. I do appreciate it. Might have been one of my best calls of all time on that map. However, I do not like playing it. Yeah, it was actually, 2 semesters ago on this same exact channel for the finals. That was wild to think about. An ace, but they still lost. It was wonderful. But yeah, and seeing Breeze out of here definitely makes sense. I can't think of a single individual person on the face of the planet right now that enjoys the state that Breeze is in.
Yeah, no, it's looking like the rework has brought some different opinions, but really no different builds. It requires a little bit of extra meta, and maybe some of that will change with Clove getting involved. But Clove is still locked in baby jail. They will not be joining us going into this matchup. They will stay away, and that actually is the verdict is out on whether or not they will be at CECC. So for right now, everything is still kosher. You keep calm, you carry on, but we move into Sunset as our first one. And this one was picked by the Cougars for a reason. They've been very effective. I believe that the highest amount of rounds they have allowed the entirety of this semester was 7 on this Sunset. And honestly, this is a kind of map that has been really driven, especially recently, by how fast you execute to these sites.
Yeah, there's that, but I feel like everybody just avoids how important mid control is on this map as well. That's because to be able to get instantly into spawn through about, I don't know, let's say 20 feet, right? I don't know what the measurement is in Unreal units, what this game is built on, but you have the ability to immediately flood spawn if you're able to take that space. And we see a lot of teams like to close door early, but then you're giving up the entirety of mid unless you break it. So it's going to be a very odd dichotomy of, are you going to default? Are you going to sit back? Are you going to actually play that mid control and then hit a site from there? Or are you just going to have that super fast execute, expect to see a gecko, because Dizzy gets so much value, especially on A site, over the top of basically what is that giant wall that blocks the site off from the entrance. You can throw Dizzy up there and you can blind 5 people right off the rip and just explode onto them. There's so many options for Sunset, and I feel like it's one of the better maps that's come out recently in this entire game.
Yeah, there was a lot of resistance early on, but that's because everyone is just afraid of change. I think that's just human, but it's also players that eventually adapt and they see what happens at that pro level and really able to execute. We'll be seeing Lotus thereafter, and we'll be talking more about those as they come along, especially with even the old man map of Ascent. But for right now here, Visionary, we are going into our first map of execution. Obviously, the main sentinel that's really been living it live and large has been Cypher, and there's been a lot of utility requirements to really break open, especially B site, to make it work. And it looks like those ciphers will be floated on and picked up.
And you're starting to see Sova on this map, and you wouldn't think Sova is traditionally good at this map for the sheer fact that there is a lot of like just blocked off angles, especially when you talk about B side, right? There's a giant column in the middle. You're not going to get a lot of value off the dart because you can always play around that giant pillar. However, $150 to break a Cypher trip to get you onto site makes a lot of sense when it comes down to it. You don't have to burn the paint shells, which you can obviously get a lot more value out of in a post-plant situation, things of that nature. So seeing Sova starting to be played on this map exclusively because Cypher is so powerful is something that I do enjoy. And sometimes it's surprising to not see that on the other side. Yes, Mosh can theoretically break it, but it has to be placed basically perfectly. And you're exposing just the tiniest sliver of yourself to main while you're throwing that Mosh. So it's going to be interesting to see kind of how Brewton-Parker decides to really execute onto B site without having that utility, unless they're going to burn the paint shell every round just to go ahead and say, hey, Cypher, you're not going to get us right off the rip.
And to this same end, we're also seeing a difference of the Smash and Dash and Crash, really a heist-driven agency out of Colombia, because they're going to have not just the Breach, but also the Raze to get really fast. I've seen some teams kind of revolve around the Neon, but you have your either main or backup utility to try and break open sight, especially going through those tripwires. So this is a fast Crash style with double initiator out of the Cougars. On the opposite end, we have the double controller. They're trying to play a lot more calm, and they are starting on the defensive half, so maybe that was also part of this lean, having to go with the Omen as well as with the Viper. And I've seen that difference. Sometimes they also bring over a Harbor, but it's going to be, where do you really permanently set up that talk screen play for some of that Viper pit, especially for more permanency. But this is going to be our tone setter, Visionary, especially considering how prolific the Cougars have been on Sunset this particular semester.
I mean, you're not wrong, but Brewton-Parker has played this map twice, and they have also only allowed somebody to get 7 on it. So while it's played much more by Columbia College, Brewton-Parker still basically has the same stats put up. It's just the difference in games. The reason I love Viper here, though, is because if you want to, you can actually cover the entirety of the map with just them as a solo smoker on defense. It's a lot harder to run a solo on offense, but you can actually wall all the way across and get yourself a ton of mid control and cover a main off the rip. So we see the spy cam already put in work, and there's Breach. Hello, we're already starting the bullying. I love to see it.
Going out that recon dart and then throwing a paint shell duet in response. Going to try and burst on it in, but Preds will become a first blood marionette, hung up as Truth follows, and a wall bang on the Calvin before eventually they're traded as well. Legend on the Breach, making space, and now this attack for the Cougars turns into a 2v2.
It's 4v2 in an instant. It's just multiple kills. The Breach doing their job. Sova coming in and backing up. And now Spike hasn't been planted yet. And this plant position is going to bring out some fights for sure. You hear that that's close. And there's the fight. The double swing going to be there as well. The only thing I'm questioning, they're playing for the aftershock. And that great shot by Caps here. Wingman going to go ahead and hit that. Aftershock going to be thrown. We're going to see if they can get it. Oh, Legend with a nice shot. Here it is. 1v1. Who wins? The counter strafing, the wiggle, the jiggle from Limp. Going to get BPC round 1.
Legend gonna be mad that Limp basically just wide swung walked through. So, oh, you're supposed to stick around. Come on, we're supposed to try and click each other's heads. Nah, you just walk forward, ruin them at that 50 DPI level, and that'll be a nice retake by the likes of the Barons. And again, they were pretty efficient this season, able to just limit the damage for the multitudes of their matchups. And walking into it, like you said, they're about as effective as the Cougars, but you saw how swiftly Cougars not at all deterred from just walking towards that util. They want to burst on the site, but they lost Preds early, and I wonder how much that could be a factor here, but this is also their eco.
Yeah, on an eco, you're going to get a little aggro. You're going to see what you can get, see if you can get those guns off of them. I don't think anybody goes into an eco round expecting you're going to win with some classics. And we obviously saw a Guardian, a Bulldog, and some other higher buys on the other end. I do like this little mid lurk that's coming out right here from Preds, though. It does give you an opportunity if somebody decides to get a little aggressive, you know, that they can actually take that space, but it's not going to happen. These teams are too drilled, they're too calm, they're too collected. Nobody's going to try to fight for that mid space, especially with the smoke holding it down, and there's also that trip there, so you can't aggress through it as well, and this is just going to be kind of a reset. It's weird seeing them so spread out, Monkey Man.
Yeah, it is, but they've also got at least the firepower around it. Limp has this Judge, and they find Carnage with no shield. So simply using that Dizzy to its full effect, like you were talking about, that wall can be both offensively advantageous as well as defensively, because it's just kind of your down check and hanging out inside of this dark cover. They send out the recon bolt, and then the paranoia in reply. Limp will step on back, but they still hold a pretty tight funnel.
It's a good use of Dizzy there as well. Wingman gonna go ahead and just detect the people who are there. They hear at least 2 guns coming. Is Limp able to get 2? Are they able to get 3? No, it's gonna be Caps getting the wall bangs, and that's gonna be an easy cleanup and a complete flawless here for BPC. And that's the one thing you don't want if you're CC. You want to be able to flood. You want to be able to use that utility. You don't get a singular gun off of BPC, and they get to come into this round with a Judge and a Guardian. Some damage can still be done.
Yeah, from distance, where's Cap's going to be setting up, it looks like that they primary hold at A, and I think it's really because of that wall situation. I know that I like hanging out on A whenever I'm rocking Gecko on this map. Maybe not to the degree that these guys are, but where do we see Limp kind of rotating to? Currently 4-0. That Judge will be holding close quarter, believing that maybe they'll hit into mid, rotate into that marketplace situation. But the read right now into this 3-stack of B is that they want to travel back into B. Have to get around much of this Yuto. That camera's going to go down. What a strange situation. They just jump straight into contact with Preds.
And Legend's going to be able to find another one there. And now, do you expect the Judge here by Limp is the question. It doesn't look like you do. Oh. They already killed the Cypher. You didn't have to check it. Unfortunately, though, misses the Judge shots. 4-tapping is going to be able to get one back, but with a Spectre and 7 bullets. Not a lot they can do versus the 2. Look at them just playing so far together. Little bit of isolation there, but again, it's just gun diff at that point, Monkey Man.
Yeah, it is. And I do like the recheck, because even though you take out the utility, you're like, okay, this is kind of a weird stack. Why are they swinging so hard initially, even off of a bonus round? And you're like, something doesn't feel right. And good news, when they kind of crisscross applesauce and checked out those corners, it wasn't going to be, I believe, Carnage that dropped early. So Courage, or rather, not Carnage, Cougars will be going into this. Now we have our first rifle round. Save 1, Calvin coming up a little bit short.
I mean, you win the round. Obviously, round 3, you save the round before. You're Omen. You're using a lot of your utility on a round-to-round basis regardless. So, and that's a lineup for... Oh, they're just exploding onto site. Just like you mentioned before, this comp is to get onto site quickly, and they are establishing that. And here's the Tens angle coming up from Limp. Gonna find 1, does not find 3, like Tens did, however, right before Madrid. It's a good paranoia. Predzu gonna run through this one, be able to get 1. Door still not broken as well. As the trip gonna go off. Okay, a little bit awkward. Dizzy gonna be able to find 1 here. It's a nice shot from Caps, and a paint shell off screen actually took 1 out as well. BPC again, flood retaking working extremely well for them.
Wow, what an absolute clang too by Truth, as they say Kelvin just around from mid tower, so it becomes a 1v3, and they're gonna try and at least ping the spike a couple times, but that's just gonna be a lost venture. Triple swung, Samo cleans it up onto Switchblade. And that's a great find by BPC Barons. Cougars, they used that Rolling Thunder, very much establishing early control, but I don't think it was ever truly under control. They were leaking out into Marketplace to really kind of skirmish alone, and it was a great re-entry, especially off Caps, to find some of those kills. And I wonder about that paint shell in particular.
Yeah, that one was super interesting. I think the big thing for me as well is, like, we're sitting down, we're looking at this, and the read was completely met by BPC, right? They saw Breach had the ult. They all evacuated into Market and Bobo. They're like, yeah, this isn't even worth fighting. Let's give it up. Let's play for another day. Completely worked out in their favor. It seems like BPC right now just has a little stronger read on the game, and you see now they start to get aggressive and change the pace. Here it is. Not going to be able to find the first one, but Limp going to be able to find Legend. Here's 4-tapping. Oh, and there you go. The showstopper going to completely end the raise on raise violence, and it quickly becomes a 5v2.
You think that you have those explosive resistance boots for a reason if you're the opposite Rays, but not for the old Rocket unless you're able to just kind of swing kick it away. Four tapping, waiting patiently. They have to combine with Truth to clean up Calvin. And the last one, a 3K, good for Truth, as that theft of space. Stutter started this eco for the Cougars. They try to send themselves into that mid-elbow situation, and what a down read. You know that your opponent doesn't have that level of guns to go and meet you, and they're gonna have to save up now for this first half of the first half, 6th round, and so they just simply took advantage of it.
It's not only that though, because you can just kick back on site and play an eco, right? It's the fact that they decided to take that space on the eco round, being like, hey, this is still an option. We can still do this on any given round. So y'all are gonna have to watch yourselves in mid, because we have this Viper wall to completely cover us, as the pre-fire for Truth almost works out in their favor, but not gonna be able to find just anything yet. No chip damage and a heavy default, with a lean towards B coming out, looking like it's going to be a 3-2 split. We're going to see if they're going to be able to actually get that done as we see the pre-fire coming through the dark cloud. Here's a nice little blast pack in, but Pred's actually going to get stunned by his own teammate. Going to make it a little bit more difficult. Great snake bite as well to just delay entry. BPC playing this so solid right now.
The Cougars can't find a single step or tile for free. Samo, did they see their shoulder? They actually peek around the corner, and Prez does clean him up and finds another one. 4-tap and hits the floor, and so that's at least one Keen Smoker out of the way. Your Omen's still up and alive, and everyone having to rotate over, thinking that maybe they can catch him lurking and cooking, but B was the target from the beginning, and they have some extra cash because of that flood of rounds. Oh, Legend with a fantastic find on Caps, and this may be GG's goes next, and just think if you can get an exit kill.
Yeah, this is all exits though, because there's no reason to save. You're up 4-1, right? You're gonna have the econ to do some damage. As Truth gonna take a couple more bullets. Preds actually hasn't been touched since that snake bite. That's actually wild to think about. And as soon as I say it, there goes a lamp. Legend gonna be able to take out Truth with the aftershock. A couple guns taken off though, but CC's gonna take this one comfortably. And I think that poking and prodding and just how quiet they were playing initially, even though they broke the door, even though they broke the trip, they didn't really give away any information that anybody was in B main. So the split wasn't really known, and it allowed CC to come in to take that space and be successful on that push.
Carnage and Calvin right now having not the game that they want, but definitely Cougars at least stabilize into that previous round. They were both 0-5 until Carnage picked up one. And you know that Calvin and Carnage want to get much more into this game, and that could be really the pivot point here for the Cougars to really start finding some momentum against BPC. They drop a couple guns, they rebuy up into it, and they're trying to down check into this elbow situation. We haven't seen an A plant yet. Samo left alone to try and handle it, but they got the tripwires before they might retreat to deep sight.
Oh, Carnage, are you going to be able to catch the lurk? You do. You get the ult off as well. Truth's going to be able to get the trade. However, the damage is done. Samo is going to find so much there.
Wow.
Oh, my. Samo? He just fast flanked that?
Wow.
What a mad lat. Samo, what are those shots?
That's beautiful, and that is a brainiac read, because recognizing that they're not pushing the same pressure that really the Cougars have shown their hand to on B, it's got to be, all right, is it mid? We've checked. No, it's A. Where do I want to funnel these players? And more often than not, teams will vie for that elbow contention. So just caught them on timing, and Samo came out massive because of it. They're actually going to be 5-3, and they got that neural theft online again.
Yeah, I mean, obviously it was the opposing. It was CC's neural theft that was used last round, but now you get to see another A setup coming out of the Cypher. Everybody expects B to be where the Cypher is going to be playing on this map just because they are so strong, but you have a Viper, so you have an orb, you have the snake bites to be able to slow people down, and it gives you just a dynamicism on defense that you typically don't see because Cypher has a very strong setup. However, this time, Predzu going to be able to find the kill on him and blow this up immediately, and it's going to be a 4v5 retake. A gun is obtained, as is Showstopper popped. Are you going to be able to find the value for it? The answer is no.
The value was to at least keep a lot of players away from site so that you could take over site. Even if it's not active value, the passive one is there. And they're going to try and back it up, but now 4-tapping shows their hand. They take out Carnage in effect with it, throwing that snake bite out there, and Legend, oh, not afraid at all, not needing to reload. They take that trade. A 3v3, Thrash gets used, and so does Dizzy, but it's 2 for 2, making just one remaining. Legend's gonna try and scream on the side. They do have a weapon. They win the initial trade. They're gonna solo ult with this, but no, they TP away to safety from the corner.
Oh my, just the util we're seeing dumped on each other. These are two characters that are going to effectively bully each other. Spike is going to be halved, but time is dwindling down right now. Aftershock going to be popped. You have to hold this now. Swings at the perfect time. It's going to be Legend with the clutch. 5-3. And CC just clawing their way back right now. A phenomenal round and a phenomenal usage of utility right there by Legend. 10-5 and Limp on the other side, matching them every pace of the way at 11-4. They are showing why they are the leaders of their teams as of right now.
Oh my goodness, what a heads up realization that you're about to get just hit by the giant Swedish meatball of that Rolling Thunder. So TP to corner and make it look difficult. If you went chasing that, couldn't assure that you're going to be good for getting that kill. So simply waiting on timing. Legend keeping this team afloat, 10-5, the only positive KD player right now for the Cougars, and they're keeping in lockstep with BPC. And look how they're playing patient. They're checking out in mid, seeing if they can find an insurgency, maybe swing over to that B market.
Yep, and we see Caps able to spot one out in mid with Dizzy, goes ahead and retrieves that as well. But again, door was closed early here, and there's 3 people on the B site, so that probably means this is going to be leaning towards A, but everybody else thinks otherwise. This mid hold, this poking and prodding of what we're seeing right now, is it actually going to be a re-hit? Because if it is, this is going to be the greatest call of the century by BPC. It's looking like they're just kind of trying to make up their mind. We got the breach here, we got the Cypher here, and everybody slowly starts going there. And look at 4 players already stacked for BPC right here, and there's the delay. Do you call the fake? Do you fast rotate, or do you go ahead and just fight this out? We're about to see.
I would say you have to just run away over to A. That's my call. I'm a coward though. But also they're realizing that that was a giveaway. They danced in the doorway, so that means someone has to be nearby. Everyone going through that poison orb and the snake bite, and yet the Cougars are coming out the better part of it, and they burst on the side with a couple of blast packs. That's Caps trying to cap them. They're able to zap them. They get him through the blind, but Calvin at least gets that trade. It becomes a 2v1. Samo was hanging out like they're gonna rotate, right? But now they're left alone.
Yeah, I guess there's a reason why, you know, we're around the plat area and these guys are much better than us, because that re-hit, even against a 4-stack on the site, just able to explode at the right time, use the utility to your advantage. Samo has basically nothing to work with here except potentially his neural theft if he does decide to pop it. Here's the Legend gonna go ahead and hit that flash. It's actually not gonna hit Samo. Isolates one. Here's the opportunity. However, doesn't know where Calvin is. It's gonna allow CC to bring themselves within 1 here against BPC.
Having a long swing, knowing that there's a deep corner and you have to play off flank. There's no way they're sitting in the same exact kind of eyesight line on that left, right? Well, they end up being correct. So, Cougars, we'll move ourselves over to round number 10, and it could be a 50-50 between these two squads. And for the first time in a while, BPC looks like they're in a detrimental position. They have some light shields. They're eyeing for that util, and the only thing that's online at current is the neural theft. They could vie to have Truth go and get that showstopper, grab a pick, and maybe turn this train right around.
Yeah, but it's going to be a fast explosion onto the B site once again. However, trips are going to be here this time, but not where you think they are. So these are going to be checked. It might give a chance for Limp to be able to find one. Legend going to go ahead and trade out Samo with an Aftershock once again. Make that Aftershock kill number 2 for the map so far. Getting great value out of that. You don't really see a lot of kills with it typically. Works out pretty well. 10's angle once again, not going to be found. Legend is able just to wide swing his way through that one. Is 4-tapping, able to go ahead and kind of fake their movement through this. Carnage is sitting there holding that exact same angle. Here's Caps looking to potentially use Mosh. Are they going to check left? The answer is no. Calvin's going to be able to find 2. CC, this victory, this round, definitely within their hands.
Truth could find a few heroic kills, but it looks like they're going to bounce away and just take these minimized duels. Calvin will give them at least 1 consolation prize, but Legend is chasing them down. It will be Carnage that finds them from north side of mid, and we are all tied up with big potential for the Cougars to either walk out of this with a 7-5 or at minimum a 6-6, considering that this eco just showed up in round 11.
Yeah, you finally broke down BPC after they were able to get 5 rounds out of the first 7, right? So their econ finally dwindling down, and you see Preds is actually buying oh, they're trading guns. Okay, I was like, why does he have a Guardian? But no, they're gonna give that to Legend because apparently right now he can't miss. So I don't necessarily disagree with that sentiment. As we're gonna go ahead, Truth's gonna go ahead and pick up the pace on defense once again. Has the showstopper available, looking for just about anybody. Are they gonna be able to find it? The answer is yes. Finds a pop onto Calvin. Gonna go ahead and use the pain shells as well just to get away to safety. Great job of getting an opening pick. However, you're running right into the Sentinel and the Pseudo Sentinel right here on the A side. Are they going to be prepped to see Cypher and Viper already here?
There's one safety position for them, either in that deep elbow or way back site. And look how they're challenging around that double stack box directly in. They still have the Hunter's Fury if they really want to hold that as the win condition. They open it up. They actually tag them out with the Owl Drone, and they'll be stuck off that corner. 1/3 shot ready to be used. Caps is going to challenge into Prez, and Legend then trades out one more with the actual Sentinel who goes away. Carnage once he gets the Cyber Cage to allow them some space, but they're going to make even more space off this Rolling Thunder.
Yeah, we're gonna see Gecko, Wingman, poor Wingman getting a shot there. Nice little turn here by Carnage, almost gets taken out by Truth, but can't. CC now, 2v2. BPC trying to get the spam, it's not gonna happen though. Can't find the angle on the box, misses it just barely. We're gonna see Thrash being brought out as well here. You're gonna get value from it. Switchblade takes one out. Cap's gonna be able to find the other with that Guardian. Low HP, but Switchblade gets the headshot, and it's 6-5.
That was the sweatiest round 11, where you have a pretty substantial economic and arsenal difference, but the Cougars still are able to walk away with the dub. The one thing lacking, no, they'll have rifles, and so this will be final round in general of this first half. The first match so far, Visionary, has really been very tactical between both squads, and BPC, even though they get a lot of damage, don't walk out with that, nearly getting a thrifty, but they want to go dead even as we flip halves. Can they acquire that in round 12?
It's going to be interesting to see as we go ahead and see the shock dart. No Cypher Wire there, however, though. I like the lineup, though. Thanks for showing me the goodies. Oh, just a blast back through. The Paranoia going to be there, but Limp's going to be hit with it. Does not care. Going to go ahead and take out Preds. Caps is actually pushed down as well. Has an opportunity. Going to get blinded by his own teammate. Legend somehow finds that kill. Bro, check his PC.
Absolute nerds. They saw him just before. Samo with the fadeaway. Now using that neural theft. Where are they hiding at? They're on B. The next ping is actually the most telling because they're not going to be seen as deep sight, so they're both off main. You got to challenge up into this. Two players quite hurt. Dark cover will be re-extended. They're simply going to ping that spike, but will they walk up for the deep swing? Since there's no kill there, pretty much gives it away. Way and around, but look at this flank. They're out in Marketplace. Carnage here to secure the bag. Do they know where they are? They're getting that read. It's a 1v1 now off the TP. They have just enough. They're going to see it with the camera. It's at least good for half. They're just holding it. Hold it, Limp. Oh, he's able to get it. We're tied at 6. Carnage to 3K. It's a nicety, but you wish you had the 7-5.
It's just the plant spot a little too far condensed into that corner. It doesn't allow. I mean, it's ridiculous to think that the slightest of differences, if the person who is planting literally turns around and faces the other way, that's a definite win for CC. It is the minute details that make a difference when a game is played at this high of a level. And we're talking about the half right now. It's 6-6, right? But that was the strong side for both teams, right? We expect CC to struggle a little bit more on the offensive side because of the breach, right? You don't get any utility or any information off of any of his utility. BPC now running 2 controllers gets to basically default to wall A every round if they feel like it, but it's going to be interesting to see how they bring that to attack and how CC goes ahead and brings this to defense. Both teams dead even on their better half.
The good news is that there is active intelligence that you can get from the Sova to counteract the lack thereof being gained from your breach. So what can they do off of it? Truth just gonna bop their way through. The Paranoia tags no one. Carnage backs up, and can they win this duel? Truth puts them to the floor before they even get to end that question with a question mark. They're gonna walk away, and everyone's still alive. They can just hold pistols from out in main.
I mean, I don't like the fact that you're going to let them potentially take as much space, especially having a breach there. I mean, that fault line's going to be back in 30, right? So you're still going to have a minor opportunity to go ahead and get a stun. We're going to see if Preds can get any value of just swinging through the smoke. And okay, Truth just says a no, that's not happening. Is Calvin going to be here? We get the mosh, we get the paint shells, we get everything. There's so much post-plan utility on this as well, but a nice right click. Going to go ahead and do some damage. However, it's going to be BPC definitely running away with this pistol round. Also, Monkey, I want to say, classic free gun BTW.
And, you know, there's some free low going on off of those right clicks as well. So, great finds here by the Barons, as they will take this first of the second half. And, no, I need to know. I'm not going to judge you too hard, Visionary, but I know you probably bought one. Which of the skins did you get? You need to know.
If I were to buy one, I actually haven't yet, due to personal circumstances, but 1,000,000%. Okay. Zelsys has put in so much work And every single time the Sentinels Classic has been dropped to me, I've gotten at least 2 in that round. So,
oh wow, okay,
it works. I don't know what it is, but the Sentinels Classic has a right-click buff that I've never seen in my life.
it just kind of narrows the spread. All right, understood. As soon as you win a major, you get just a big classic buff, which makes sense. Preds is gonna take this deep corner angle. Carnage is gonna try and protect him, but it looks like they are just stuck behind enemy lines, and Truth with the easy cleanup off of that stinger. So off this full save, Truth gonna do exactly what they've been doing since the previous round onward, and protecting this plant, but Carnage finds them on that angle. I'm surprised that they thought that it was as protected as it was. And another one, Carnage. Hey, look, they're using the PRX. That's the right one to use, I'm just saying.
I mean, I do love PRX because they just personify W key, which is what I have on, I mean, quite literally my Vandal. Every single Vandal that I have has the W key as 4 tapping. Able to find 1 here. Not too low. Legend's going to have a lot of work to do right here. And it's not going to be helpful when you get double swung with a classic in your hands. You can't, you might be able to right click, but you can't right click a spread of about 25 feet between the 2 players who just swung you. So it's going to be BPC being able to take the anti-eco. I mean, not really surprised, but we continue to see these teams kind of work back and forth off of each other. And now this rifle round, we see BPC buying up into. So if this round is lost by BPC, it could be a pretty big swing in favor of the Cougars.
Legend approaching work the same way I do. Guess I'll die then. Well, we go into round number 15. Columbia, they're going to be facing off against that one particular rifle, which could be a pretty big pivot point. Depends on what the Barons really want to rock and roll with. The Switchblade thought that they were good to go on that ult orb, and they're going to be 2 away from off that Hunter's Fury, which is going to be a great kind of deterrent. Calvin, mad that maybe the boom bot gave him away, but it just kind of looked up and screamed before it went on to die its final death. Baron's pretty chill at this point. It looks like they will be poking here out in B. It's the same standard method, but they do get caught by the old tripwire, and yet no one is to fall as of yet, except for Preds finding Samo, and now the trades begin.
Oh, the trades are going to swing back and forth hard. Spike does go down here, so some post-plant utility. You still have Mosh, you still have Thrash. You don't have much else to work with here. Aftershock going to get 1 off of an angle. Here's the Thrash that we were discussing. Going to be able to hit Carnage. You're going to swing off of this. Look at all the backup that they have. Going to take out Caps. 2 still back there. Can Limp get anything done here? No. The Shockwire and Preds going to take care of everything under the sun. And not only is it a win, it is a flawless here for the Cougars.
Shout out teammates that actually protect their other teammate when they are caught by a lockdown style util from that Thrash. That's such a hero moment. Like, thank you for standing up for your teammate. I appreciate that. So the Cougars gonna keep all their Phantoms, and BPC, they'll rock and roll. They'll bring their rifles, and you said it a moment ago, the difference therein of having a lesser rifle. Truth is going to be feeling that hurt. They're going to be on a stinger. They are 2 off of a showstopper, depending on at least if they can find a pick, maybe grab an orb. It depends on what they do. They have been walking up into B to find it.
I mean, B orb isn't contested too much, so I wouldn't be surprised if it went that way. However, the other big difference to note here is we're going to see some light shields here as well, and Phantom has a definite advantage against light shields. We're going to see the dart coming out onto the A site, not going to ping anybody. Oh, it actually got 1. Okay, this might get aggressive here. Preds looking to take a fight early. And go ahead and run through that Viper wall, see if the Boombot can get anything. Now that Truth has made noise over here, this might actually be a decent fake. They might go ahead and re-aggress towards A, and everybody and their mother has left the site.
Hanging out at that link position though, and that's a great challenge lane because that sees so much off that double box corner when you walk into A, but that Spike is still leaned out in mid, so that could be simply to clear with these 2 currently from the Barons walking it up. But this is a full spread. This may end up being B. It looks like they're calling it for a rotation, but it really depends on what Preds and value can be found right here. Who's going to win this initial duel with Limp? I think they saw him first, but Limp wins it later.
Yep, Limp taking the dub there, and now it's Legend versus Samo. We've already seen Samo go huge. However, swinging out, holding shift is never a good idea. Give him that much more time to go ahead and shoot you. The spam coming through, and the rotation now being called. And the funny thing to note is that since this lurk has been happening, oh, well, so much for the rotation there. Carnage is just going to swing out, going to live with 5 HP to their name, but you know what? Better have 5 than 0.
That's very true. You can stay alive, and even if you're just used to down check and be like a meat shield and find some intel, that's the key difference. 12 seconds, the plant will come in. They're going to try and use this Hunter's Fury to just deny the default. They get them to step up, and it doesn't look like we're going to get that plant. They're going to go full send to it, wait out the ult. 4 tapping will not have enough time, and that's BPC that fumbles the bag. They try to keep 2 alive. Truth on this swing. They're lucky they don't get taken out. They keep at least a couple guns, but the Cougars will have us tied up.
Cougars are looking good right now on the defensive end, and I just looking at compositions again, it looks like, you know, the Cougars were going to have more offensive rounds. BPC was probably going to have more defensive rounds. No, we're just still stalemated 2-2 right now, but every gun round right now on defense has favored CC. I'm excited to see that kind of continue to swing, and we keep seeing these staggered buys with like one random person with a sheriff and light shields on for BPC, and I'm very interested to see like when are they actually going to fully save as a team, because it hasn't happened just yet.
Yeah, I know they really haven't had that kind of that meeting of we definitely need to just fully chill, reset, save for later. Truth, they have one of those rifles in particular, and they hear the cyber cage getting pinged a couple times, but simply when you're swinging and you get a wall bang, that's going to be the difference maker. Throwing those pain shells, forcing them to have to take a step back. The showstopper comes up as well, and they want to create that delay. That's about 15 seconds. That's just chilling with everyone else, having to run away with it like a chicken with their head cut off. And now as they try to re-enter into this link point, this is CC actually at a massive disadvantage.
They don't have any ingress into sight whatsoever right now. Like you saw Calvin on top of the box was afraid to swing it as soon as that smoke went up. It's so difficult to go ahead and retake. You still have the Gecko to deal with as well. You also have Truth to deal with, but Limp, Caps, and Truth. Oh my, BPC flawlessly executed there in the 3v3. Able to take it down and get themselves a lead again. We're going to see CC with another buy here, Monkey Man. It's not going to be the strongest. Pred's actually going to have a Spectre here, it looks like, unless they trade up with someone else, and Calvin going to be on a Stinger. Both these teams are just buying everything. They don't care. They're like, this is Monopoly on the first pass. It's statistically proven if you buy everything that you're more likely to win.
I always, when I was younger, I never bought anything. I was like, why would I spend money? I'm gonna save my money. And then, you know, that never worked out. I always lost to whoever bought all greens. Those were the worst. Greens and orange ruined me. Ugh. But Columbia, they're matching pace with the Barons at a BPC. Calvin has their signature judge, which was very impactful the last time it went. But this one in particular, they're going to clear that top tripwire of mid and at least tease the idea that they may spin around it. But it looks like they will be going to Marketplace. But look how that's already pulled Calvin away for the moment.
And Calvin's not going to be able to take that fight with the judge. Going to go ahead and try to get the smoke before they explode onto site. Here's the idea. Oh, he's going to catch 1.5. Carnage going to be able to get that, and Wingman down as well. So Plant not going to be able to fall. One Way's going to protect Carnage just for a hot minute. As the swing comes, 4 tapping going to be taken down as well. This is a huge job by CC, and especially Carnage of being able to hold on to the site, but getting wall banged through the wall. Not great right there. Took one to the dome. Plant going down currently. Couple flashes coming out. Limp going to be able to find one. Sama's going to find a second. Okay, now this is interesting. And Preds just gives him that to the dome, and now it's a 1v1. And it's going to be Preds with that Spectre able to find it. Get yourself a gun. You deserve it after popping that ult. 9-9. We're still notched up.
Cougars, they had Carnage calling for the cavalry just before they fell on their face, and there was one good pick away from maybe being a ruinous type of attack from the Barons. But you know, you got a showstopper, you use it, you get a kill, that's going to be the biggest impact possible, and then you leave someone with only what, 4 HP. So Cougars tit for tat here with the Barons, and again, the Barons just not shying away. If they were to lose this round, they will still be good, I think, enough for another buy thereafter. I think they're still getting value. They're like, you know what? We're going to tap heads faster than what this light shield is even going to matter.
I mean, if you bet on yourself like that, I give you props. But I mean, every player is going to at least be able to buy utility, a rifle, and light shields next round. So that's definitely ideal, as that's going to be a huge swing. Nice escape right here from Preds, but Truth going to be able to find one. So they get it on the entrance. I say it's the entrance. That's like the biggest lie of all time. You fought all this space just for the beginning of sight, as Preds is going to be able to get the trade. 4 tapping gets one back, and now CC down to 2 members. They're going to have to pull a rabbit out of a hat right here with A-Site being completely taken over.
do have that neural theft that got used as well, just to see where the Cougars were pumping in from. And so they saw him initially at Link, and that's why Limp is hanging out here. But it is buddy cop movies sticking together, using the paranoia to inject themselves here into an elbow position. But they got to be ready for this off angle because Limp is actually holding sentry of it. So much extra contact. And if they're not ready, well, that's exactly the outcome. Samo will clean Calvin straight off the map. And that is, again, an extension by BPC. They have since been able to really lead the Cougars by the nose, that opening pistol visionary, and they've not allowed the Cougars to get too far ahead.
Pistols are so important, and BPC has both pistols and both ecos right after. So they have the anti-ecos, they have the pistol rounds. When you give yourself 4 rounds already and make that 4-0, it just makes your win condition that much easier, right? You don't have to win as many rifle rounds. You don't have to survive as many ultimates. It just makes your life easy. And it can come down to something as simple as executing on a round where basically everyone is equal. And then afterwards, executing on the fact that they're definitely not equal with you, but not getting a little too aggressive. As we're going to go ahead. We're going to see Thrash get pushed back a little bit by a nice little blast pack. The timing? Carnage, wait, what? Okay, Truth's gonna be able to find one here. I still can't believe Thrash wasn't able to even get close to him. Gonna be revealed. Truth's gonna find one with the paint shells here as well. What's gonna happen with the rest of it? Still pinged, still getting planted down. 16 HP, gonna be able to find the third. How are they alive still? Thank you, Switchblade.
Switchblade throwing in an errant shock dart, and then they get it in kind from Samo from distance. Yeah, I don't know how long Truth was intending to actually stay up, maybe forever, but it seemed almost like immortality had touched them mid-round, and they smiled up to the heavens and nodded. BPC finding that 2-round lead. First time that they've had one over the Cougars in this game since the second round of the very first half. And we kind of check it out. We've got a lot of ultimates that are going to be online. This could be a very loud retake, especially with the Rolling Thunder, but you also have the Showstopper out of Truth, and that's at least good for one. BPC very lethal.
Very strong retake potential here as well, though, with the Rolling Thunder. So it's going to be, are you going to blast on and take site knowing that the Rolling Thunder is probably going to come in from the defensive side? Who knows? But it is going to be used on the entry. No blast packs there. Just going to go ahead and rocket that one out. And Switchblade takes complete advantage of that. No space really gained from that. We're going to see this brought out on the other side. Their caps still tagged. Oh my, Carnage finds 2. Calvin shuts the other one down, and this is completely open. The fake is just completely destroyed and decimated because that entry on A was shut down so fast that they didn't have to worry about any other flooding. They had 3 there.
There's nothing more hurtful than being a Viper and having your Viper pit just do nothing. Oh, Calvin turns it into a flawless as they find their doppelganger and Limp. But they full invested Showstopper to maybe force a rotation of some kind onto A. And then when the 2-man set was doing that on A from elbow, B got hit pretty hard. But Carnage continues to stand head and shoulders above all others, save one with Legend at 19 and 14 with them. And that takes some massive tools off the weapon set for the moment out of BPC.
It just continues to happen too. 2 ultimates committed that round. CC doesn't have to burn 1 because they just are able to execute as quickly as they are. And Truth trying to increase the pace here. Great Dizzy going to come out as well. That's how you combo utility. Truth going to be able to find the second one. And those little things, right? Even though it's a headshot, it doesn't matter because you're taking that damage from the Viper wall when you swing that angle. This is going to be instantly taken over. And look at Samo here with the lurk. Oh my Samo. Okay, that's just disgusting. You're just sitting there in mid. Your whole team is on A. Why aren't you on A as you click all the heads in the world and exterminate the mid of the map?
They often say some of the most dangerous slayers are those lurking sentinels, and Samo proving that opinion's point with how they just took over mid and allowed no idea of a retake out of the Cougars. And this is BPC on map 1 point here on Sunset. This was the pick of the Cougars. This was their bread and butter for the majority of the season. Very strong on it, but it wasn't at all a lesser map for the Barons. BPC wants to grab this lead in the series. They can do it in a big way right here.
That is an early entry for Truth once again. Just the amount of times they have just pushed the pace, and they don't have that initiator. All they have is a Dizzy to work off of. They don't have a fault line. They don't have anything else. They don't care. Double blast back in. I know I'm better. We're gonna see what happens as Limp takes a couple of bit of damage, but Mosh gonna get him off the angle he was watching as Truth is able to take out another, and now it's a 2v5. Legend, are you gonna go ahead and pop this ultimate is the question. Gets traded out almost instantly. Carnage able to find one, make that two. Now a 1v2, but gets tapped from behind from 4 tapping. And BPC going to take map number 1. Mind you, again, that was the Cougars pick. So now we're going to be rotating over to BPC's pick, which we talked about earlier. That was Lotus for map number 2, right?
Yeah, Lotus. It's going to be kind of an interesting one because I was surprised that Brewton-Parker decided to pick into Lotus, considering that it only played it twice, and both times went a little deep into their play. But we speak to Lotus for all of them, or sorry, to Sunset for all of a moment. What great execution, especially late turn by BPC, making sure to run with their hot hand. And Truth was finding picks just freely and staying alive, almost as if like they had paid for some extra health to go on top of it, because there was times that they simply shouldn't have survived, but they found some off angles alongside Samo and the gang that were just huge. Great impact by this team so far. Anyone stand out to you in particular? Because it felt like CC had their moments, but Legend was kind of keeping them duct taped together.
Yeah, Legend was definitely keeping them duct taped together, and they had some great combo utility that we did see, right? It's just when you're on defense and you're running that breach, you don't have that information on the map all the time. You don't know if they're rushing 4 in on the blast pack or if they're just rushing 1, right? So you have to kind of guess and choose. And Legend individually did great, but it's that much harder with that breach and not having that instant notification that somebody else is there, because the Cypher, obviously we didn't see Carnage get an absolute metric ton of value off of most of his trips either, except for the one round where the fake was run. So it just becomes a little bit more difficult to go ahead and play that breach on defense. You kind of have to just have a better read of the map, and that wasn't the case because BCP had some phenomenal reads there in that first map.
Well, we're going to go to map number 2. 3 sites. Does that make the difference? We'll be seeing that right after a short break. Stick with us. The ECAC Spring Finals will be back in just a moment.
Seconds left.
Welcome back, everyone, to the ECAC Valorant Spring Finals. I'm Hail Monkey Man in the booth alongside Visionary 1, and you just saw map number 1. A cool talking point Visionary was able to bring in. In fact, you discovered it. I'm going to leave it to you. Tell us about how impactful 2 of those players were on the side of BPC.
Yeah, Truth and Limp had 14 first bloods in that game. And it's actually really interesting. No other player on BPC had a first blood. CC was able to pull 9 first bloods, and it ends up being 13-10 as the final score. So that is almost a pure relative statistic for first blood conversion compared to round conversion. We do see that happen a lot on maps like Lotus and Haven, where after you get that first kill, because there are 3 sites, that space is available for you to take. However, on a map like Sunset, that's as spread out as it is, especially with how long rotations take, it's surprising to see kind of that kind of dichotomy just directly correlate like it did here.
Wow. Hey, you know when the math is math, and you know that you have quantitative following the qualitative that these players are putting out on the map. But we move away. We digress from Sunset, which, you know, would be kind of a nice conclusion map considering its naming sake. But instead, we go over and we stick kind of into that more arid style as we go over into Lotus, a 3-side map. It's been changed a little bit, and that was a long time past. Everyone's gotten used to it at this point. You have 2 separate walls and corners on basically every single position. You have some of those long lurks up into A and just in front of rubble if you want to stick behind that box. It makes a lot of paranoia for me as well as other players to really kind of clear sight, and that's why I'm seeing a lot of different agents that have those Pokemon, that have those things like the Prowlers from Fade, as well as really Sky staying in the midst of the agents that you need to full clear to secure these sites.
I mean, and you're going to see double controller, right? There's 3 sites. You want to be able to control as much space as possible. You're going to see 2 controllers. However, Columbia is bringing out the Harbor Viper combo.
Okay.
Something we saw a ton last year in the VCT meta. It is not re-entered it almost at all. I mean, Bleed ran Harbor as a solo controller, and I really couldn't figure out why, because they definitely lost that map on Icebox. But Harbor Viper here is going to be interesting. All other things being the same. And the thing is, both of these teams do not have a flash in theory, right? But at least running that Omen gets you a paranoia to be able to kind of enter sight in case your Raze dies. You don't have that when you switch over to the Harbor. You do have the Cascades to kind of work with to give you a little bit more coverage, but you're going to be taking raw duels basically everywhere. And that's something that worries me with how well we saw BPC able to trade as well. Like Columbia running that double controller comp without having the flash kind of worries me that you're going to have to just be that much more effective at trading.
It almost rings to me that they believe there's going to be so much smoke on this map that a global flash maybe won't be helpful, and that they're going to have to, you know, like you talk about, rely into a paranoia line. And that means that they're going to be doing that either into open space or walking through into walls. So it's an interesting position to be in, considering that the lone blind or just kind of nearsightedness that will be there is only with BPC. So Columbia College, their setup has to be pretty pristine. I do wonder where the Harbor kind of lends itself, but I mean, I don't have to wonder too hard. 4 stack on A. They're expecting the skirmish early.
They're stacking it, but here's B. Preds looking to take the space early. We saw this out of both Raze players. This is not a surprise by any means. Okay, we're going to see the turret go ahead and get some knowledge, but Truth's going to go ahead and pop in. Had 8 first bloods last game, looking to add to that total even further. As they actually flood out, and they're pushing C off of this. They take all the free space on B, and look at Carnage just drop like a sack of potatoes, and now the C site has been secured. The retake trying to flood in from behind, and the plant going to be here for Mount, and look at everybody stacked towards this elbow positioning. This is wild. I don't think I've ever seen this.
This is such a nice set piece play that you get out of BPC. They knew exactly where they wanted to travel. 4 tapping, they do 2 tapping, and they find 1 more before Preds puts them to the floor. A 4v2 as the majority of this team was safe over in Waterfall. Truth didn't get first blood. They could just kind of chill out with it. As they wait around from this corner, they know that both remaining Cougars are just beyond this dark cover. The Haunt gets taken out immediately and now becomes a much less winnable venture. Trying to right click, looking to stick it with the knife. A little bit of BM in that capacity, but Caps gets the wallbang headshot on their Ghost, and BBC swiftly take round 1.
When you got a classic in your hands and you have a free gun, might as well go ahead and bring out a knife for the funsies. I mean, I can't disagree with the decision. I like the little bit of the disrespect coming on right now. It's like, hey, we took mech 1. It was your map pick. You're gonna have to prove to us that you're better than us. And that round 1 set piece was not anywhere close to being called by CC. They did your standard default, okay, everybody fights for rubble, we have to control this A space. They're not theoretically wrong by that. It was just a better plan by PPC to completely flip the script on its head.
I felt for Carnage because they probably got the call, hey, they're going B, and I was, oh, okay, I got time. Nope. Preds deep insurgency as they're able to find another right behind. At least what was gonna be their doppelganger limp will save them before Preds turns them into a 2K, and that's at least good for a nice trade as they take off that keen smoke that they wanted to use on their Vipers. So Columbia College, they'll have 2 on the site, but really kind of waiting off of that secret position. They've opened up that door, and that could be another option if they want to audible.
And the audible is definitely available, and Legend holding this with just a classic. Obviously, if there's 3 people rushing that door, you have the slightest chance, though, because that door is so small that maybe some magic can happen. However, Switchblade going to fall off this. Both controllers now kind of occupying that A site. We're going to see if any value is going to be able to get gotten. All right, we're going to get the Haunt coming way over the top. Is it going to ping anybody? The answer to that is yes. One is going to be marked. There's the blast pack in. Truth going to be able to find one. Samo was there to back them up as well, just in case the worst happened. Truth now looking for a frag. Not going to be able to find it, but everybody has been located. Cap's going to be able to find 2 on this, and this is basically done and dusted. All but a formality, unless Carnage can potentially pull off the best play of our lives. Hey, there's one. He's got a sheriff in hand. All you have to do is tap heads.
Just tap heads. Just click. Just do work. 4 HP. They inflict a little bit of damage. It could be paranoia and indifference. No, Samo will protect their little ghosty buddy. So a mirror of what began in Sunset as a 2-0 positions itself here for BPC, and we're going to see a lot of rifles on the other side. But I think there was some buying up indifference. You talk about high utility rate usage, and Cougars will see at least Switchblade on that Guardian, and reviewing a lot of what's happened over the season with Columbia as well as what happened in the playoffs. Switchblade is kind of that misnomer at times for really saving them. They had a 30 bomb on this map in particular when they won that semifinal against Wichita State. So I want to see if they start to become impactful later as we work in round 3.
I mean, obviously we're getting closer to the end of the semester, right? So you might have a term paper, you might have some other fun stuff that you're worried about. Maybe it's just taking them a little while to get in that Valorant grind set, as this is actually going to be a phenomenal seize right there. Just going to stick Switchblade down behind it. Wallbangs coming in everywhere, and eventually, finally, Switchblade is going to fall through the wall there. Trying to get a peek, trying to just find anything. Wall's going to be there, but we're going to go ahead. Omen's going to be there. There's that paranoia into the snake bite. Carnage just has to run out and bail, and again, Truth able to find them. Here's another big swing. Okay, nice little blast pack to maybe get yourself an angle, but it's already down to a 5v3, making a 5v2 as Preds is finally able to get a trade back.
Preds falls from back sight, and Samo, as a lurking sentinel should, gets the off-angle flank to finish it off. Poor Carnage has not been allowed to play this game. they are found in earnest, and they just get crashed on in the worst way possible. So now it's an eco break. Columbia College will be on some sheriffs, maybe a stinger if Calvin really wants to stick to it. This could end up being one of those where if the first 5 or so rock the wrong way, Columbia might call a timeout.
I think they need a timeout now, to be completely honest with you. I'm just a fan of calling it on the eco beforehand, so you have basically the whole eco round to kind of discuss what you really want to do as well, as we get the season nade combo. Not going to be able to find anything. Everybody is just going to be chilling out, relaxing on that. Like, hey, we don't even have to push this. We have a nice nightfall onto C. Here comes that blind that we were talking about. Going to be able to get one. Is anybody going to be allowed to play the game? Is the question. Carnage actually gets out with their life. They're not dead in the first 20 seconds.
Woo! Big victories. Vic Royale for good old Carnage there as they join the rest of their team, and now they kind of hug it out together. Truth will be taken by Carnage. That is some exacted vengeance. So BPC, not exactly with a firm foothold. The bomb is down. Switchblade waiting from around this corner. That's going to be the Prowler that, in fact, gets a blind, and Calvin finds a big kill. This is swinging the other direction.
In a huge way as well. Look at the flood coming out. There's one, there's two. Can you get the spray transfer? The answer is no, but Samo has the trades. Samo with the 3K. Caps and Samo holding it down on the backside. PPC fighting for their lives to hold that retake. Somehow, some way, Samo and Caps are able to get it done.
Samo just seeing all their friends drop around them, and just has to stand strong, as any good Killjoy should. Finishing that one with a 3K. But BPC was seeing a very feisty pack of Cougars running them down and finding some big strikes. They used that Prowler to full effect to really force Limp into a rough situation. But Samo hasn't died yet, by the way. 6-0 in the first 4 rounds. I'm sure that means that they're going to die based on my caster's curse. But Carnage gets rid of Truth, and that is the second time in a row that's happened.
I mean, I love seeing it, honestly. The Sentinel revenge right there. Prophet of Truth finally punching Master Chief back in the face for all the punches that we landed in Halo 2. So Truth getting shut down is a big thing as well, just in general, due to how explosive he was and able to get them on sites. Now you have to rely on that Omen and that Paranoia. Instead of using it for a potential, just kind of retake or using it against the retake, you have to just try to hard enter with it.
I think that was a Prophet of Red, right?
I thought you killed the Prophet of Truth.
No, because Regret was like, oh, and then he was like in the seat, right? And then like,
you're right.
Yeah, it's okay. I know too much lore. It's fine. I'm an only child. I have too much time. Legend off of this swing, trying to get rid of one, but Samo just simply has a 6th sense too strong. Preds gets taken out by Caps in exchange. It's a 3v2. A is actually the primary hit, even with this position of just pressure against Switchblade. Gonna try and rotate up. Look how deep you actually have your Omen all the way back into this like 2v2. They're gonna be long lurking and waiting.
Not only that, but it also affords you, because of where the plant went down, you can actually cover this from Baby Door as well. It just allows you to have that much space. But a little chip damage coming out here, both ways actually, as we see Carnage down extremely low. Switchblade gonna be there as well. Cap's gonna go ahead and hit the door. Try to cause some chaos here. Is that Paranoia coming out? Doesn't even really matter, but it is going to hit Carnage, who runs right into Samo, who, guess what? 3K this time. He's now 10-0, if my math is right here. Still hasn't died. I'm sorry, 9-0. I'm off by one.
Wow. It's okay. It's all right. Fast math. But, all right, so the rounds that Carnage gets an opening pick onto Truth, Samo gets a 3K. So Samo's going to start actively sacrificing Truth to make sure that they're good for 3. That could end up being maybe a little theater, a little bit of drama.
I'd do it.
Yeah.
The prophet of
sacrifice them.
Yeah, absolutely. The Prophet of Truth becomes the Prophet of Regret in that point. Why did I team with you? You're just baiting me, bro.
Oh, Truth exacting some vengeance. All right, different story time.
Love to see the opening pick. Switchblade out here looking to throw a snake bite. Decides to go ahead and pull it back. Legend is going to be here as well, so this is the first time we've had more than one person on C. However, this push isn't heading in this direction by any means. Spike is traveling A right now, and timing might be caught here if it works out right. I believe Calvin's shoulder was just seen. Wall's going to be thrown. Now everybody kind of just cascading and coming all the way back to the A site, but hey, we're going to shoot out door. Hey, that's the beautiful part about Lotus, is we can pivot yet again.
Showstopper going to be used as that impact weapon as well. See if anyone will be sticking around for it. They may just kind of throw it into top site and no one's going to be found. So he's sticking to this 4v5. Again, it's a lot of sheriffs sticking to it. Tapping, just literally tapping, sticking up to their name. Soft spray, and that Boombot's going to expose Truth, so they don't want to spin this corner too quickly if they can help, and that's going to be used much the same. The Reckoning actually does come out, but Calvin gave their life to exact that ultimate. Tapping is actually going to find it with a 3K of their own as they just got stunned from the Harbor ult. BPC is good for 6. You need a timeout to just calm the macro game, or maybe they already are getting enough info and intel between these rounds.
I mean, I certainly hope so, but at this point, it really just feels like they're being just dominated on that macro level, right? Like, you use the Reckoning, you're able to get a little bit of area with it. Well, guess what? Stuns don't do anything in Valorant, so you just get head tapped anyway, even though, you know what? Hey, we have a chance to get a kill here at the end. No. That Reckoning does not work out in their favor, and it's a much better retake tool typically than it is a site take tool in that kind of scenario. A nice seize is going to come out here from Caps, and again, it is just Truth taking every opening duel under the sun. Truth does not care. He's just going to sit there and he's going to fling out himself out there with a blast pack and either get one or die trying. He's literally 50 Cent.
Yeah, but maybe a slightly more. Well, I was gonna say
he's
successful
gotten shot
career.
9 times at a minimum.
That's true. Truth, the exact way that any good raise should be with finding kills. They're actually going to get some active intel because Switchblade is exposed as being back there, but that Viper pit is going to make B basically a treacherous GAC pit that no one's going to want to go to, and Caps is going to hang out top side of mid to make it even more difficult to reobtain. Calvin blinded completely as they just waited out. They do find Switchblade, which is going to be huge for this squad. They're going to use the lockdown to try and retake bigly huge. And as they use that snake bite, that's actually going to be now a lockdown that's used to full effect. Samo gets rid of Calvin. It becomes a 4v1. Slice him and dice him.
Yeah, went to Gordon Ramsay's school of cooking right there for that final kill. But we're seeing Venn diagrams. We're seeing entire sites get turned into green clouds. And for somehow, some way, it's always BPC just utilizing their utility just a smidge more effective to be able to pull out those rounds and kind of really just hold off the retakes entirely. Like, I know Lotus is an attack cider map, right? We've seen, I mean, the Sentinels game last week, right? Crazy. 10-2 half flips the other way, and we get like an additional 8 rounds of, or 8 whole halves of overtime, right? But if you go down 12-0, I don't believe in the comeback potential that's there. You have to find a way to get yourself around here, and this 2-1-2 default really hasn't been it. Why haven't you stacked a site? Why haven't you just gambled and seen what happens when you do it?
I feel like that's a coaching moment that could be found in a timeout, but they've simply refused to do it. Nightfall going to get used. They're going to get rid of all this extra utility that's holding down the funnel point, but Truth doing Truth things. And Limp is going to make sure that they are completely deafened out. They're not going to hear the teleport from behind. Site control held by BPC in an absolute death grip. All you've got is your Harbor and your Fade, and even less that as Legend falls, and now it's one very sad Harbor hanging out from this corner position. Maybe they find him on the timing, but not even that. The weight of the world dropped on top of Calvin's head. That is 8 for the Barons.
The combo utility, the usage of ults, and there's the timeout that we were kind of clamoring for about 4 rounds ago. Finally coming out. They're going to go ahead and talk about this. Legend calling that one, trying to figure out just, hey guys, what do we need to do? Because right now, I look at the economic difference, look at the difference in utility combinations, look at everything. It seems like CC is kind of just discombobulated right now, a bit frazzled. They're not trading off of each other effectively. Everybody is double negative or worse. It just screams of individualistic play, where this is a map that has 3 sites that you literally have to be able to trade at all moments to be able to hold on to space, and we just haven't seen it in any form, really.
Yeah, Lotus kind of lends itself to having that all the tricks of the trade and every option available to attackers. You talked about the lean availability that you can audible to go through secret, through doors, a lot of options. And it makes the defense sweat because you feel like you're definitely on these islands. And Colombia has not only bent and just been pushed because of that, but they've given up those early, like, they're not playing for life, not playing for retake. We've not been able to even see flanks be threatened at all. There was one time they came in through doors and it was on an eco and they all just kind of died at the doorway and were being slashed by knives. So Colombia has to find a lot of stability off of this position. BPC, they found 8. The good news is, you and I have seen it at the pro level. We saw it with Sentinels, we saw it with DRX. 10-2 can be come back from, but you have to be focused.
You certainly have to be focused. This is going to be a huge fight, and actually the fight's being granted a little bit. That space is going to be taken by CC right here. Prowler also going to spot one right outside of A main. The question remains, do they re-aggress here is the real question. We're going to get the Prowler coming out. It's going to spot one. They're going to expect the one in the corner is the real question. Is Preds up in the super aggressive position again? Oh my, the sliver in the wall. And just aiming at this angle is Caps. Are you going to be able to find it is the question. This is diabolical as the Prowler gets shot here as well. They know he's around that area. The Jiggle Peaks coming out. So much space. Preds to like, Caps gets one, Tapping gets one as well. Preds who tries to answer but can only find one. Spike goes down. Doesn't really seem to matter. Man advantage still for BPC.
What a cheeky peek, and what a way to also help them out, because not only do they have one player that they were kind of sacrificing off the initial angle, just making sure, all right, are they off of rubble? Where do they sit? And then they wide swing, run in. B to C, all options open. Tapping says to re-aggress on A. That's where they got their talk screen set up in permanency anyway. 30 seconds approach, but this could just simply be diffed out based on where they find the lurks. And I mean, Tapping is going to have a great position to maybe find this rundown from Switchblade, but BPC has a free plant coming through, and this 3v1 Switchblade in a tough spot.
Oh, with a judge too. This is
wow.
darn near impossible at this point. You have to get in everybody's face, and there is the sound cue made. Okay, let's run. Let's see if you can find one. Definitely has the opportunity to. The jumping judge, not going to work. BPC going to find a 9th here. And has Samo even died yet?
Let's check. 11-0. All right, so how much of this, because I start to feel this too in my games, I've had maybe 2 games where I went real deep in the first half and didn't die. Samo seems like they obviously let Truth go out and do Truth things. I start looking at like, maybe I want to stay, you know, flawless myself. Maybe I don't want to die. And maybe prioritizing some of that.
You have a few rounds to play with if you really want to be that guy. Like, you know, it gets to a 2v4 and you're like, hey, no, we're calling the save. Oh my god, the explosion. Truth actually catches up to the paranoia that's thrown right initially off the rip. And here comes the flood. We're going to get 4-tapping going ahead and throwing that molly out. Look at this aggression from A main as well. It's been a giant pinch. B has actually already been planted on. However, here's the turn. We're definitely going to see Baby Door kind of be that excursion point here for the defense. Samo doing a great job of just kind of sitting back and waiting here. Of course, Samo gets the kill onto Preds. Carnage is going to be able to find Truth, though, to open this up just a bit. And there's an answer back from Carnage as well. That's 2 for them on the round. We have the Cove here. Oh, Caps and Limp just combined. And now you have the opportunity. There's the shorty shot, not going to be found. It doesn't matter. Caps finds the kill. And we go to double digits with Columbia not being able to find 1.
Oh, that's rough. And, you know, 12-0 for Sam right now. They're good for 1. They're like, I'm staying out of contact, guys. I'm going away. And to note, both these teams are used to going deep into these matches on Lotus. Both have a sample size of 15 and 13, a double overtime in this map. So kind of a wild position. Actually, no, I guess it'd be triple overtime actually for this one. So BPC, the worst that could end up happening now is 10-2, which is its own weird curse point regarding just Lotus itself. But Columbia has not shown us even a sign of life. It's as if they ran out of health insurance and they've already pulled the cord.
Yeah, it feels like the cable had been plugged a little bit earlier, as again just giving up the site, opting to play for the retake here. Truth just blast backing into his own grenade, because who really cares at this point? My whole job is just to enter and fling myself in and see what happens. Samo somehow avoids the Prowler. Oh my Samo, are they even going to get close to expecting this? Truth spots out 1, going to be spotted from heaven here, somehow stays alive, but Pred's going to find that. There's Samo with a kill, just a straight counter-strip headshot, but Carnage doing work again. Oh, does he save is the question here. He doesn't. Carnage goes down, finally gets dropped, and CC going to find a round. Are they going to find the 10-2 half is the real question here.
And still Samo was good for 3 at minimum. He got it on the positioning off the flank, and then just aggressing back into tree, seeing all their teammates fall, and they go, come on guys, I can't do everything at 14-1. Ugh, why even be here? 10-2 could happen. And we're at least going to have rifles on either side to make it happen. And we haven't even spoken much to the overall kind of ult economy, because lockdowns will be, well, a lockdown will be live for Carnage. That's a good retake.
It's certainly a good retake. So is the Nightfall as well, if it's necessary. I'm sorry, the Reckoning and the Nightfall actually available for CC. So big opportunities here to at least try to take some space. And there it is once again. Not really a surprise. Truth not going to blast back all the way into sight here. Did we get the Omen teleport as well? We did. It's going to be in sight. Everybody falling off of this, but the retakes are going to be strong here. And we see the counter Nightfall coming in, going to mark a whole bunch of people as the plant is going to be dropped, but a bunch of silence and a defender killjoy going to push a ton of people off site. And this is not planted for Mount.
There's 2 separate circles. I think even one player that just doesn't know what in the world needs to happen. Everyone all the way back at Mount is 3 are swung, but that is the full defense by Truth. They put the Cove down on top of it. Can they get this off? They walk away. The ace gets picked up by Truth. Just when he thought it'd be a sure thing and they had the proper protection, they step away from the paint shells. And Samo doesn't fall, by the way, out a second time.
I'm just flabbergasted right now. I have no words to describe that ace from Truth. That came out of nowhere. Like, how are you able to swing on 4 different people aggressing off of that lockdown. One of your teammates has their hands in their face like, oh my God, I don't know what I'm doing because they got hit by it. The other one just gets dropped instantly off the flank because they got hit with a reckoning. And then Truth just decides, you know what? We're turning on aimbot. I'm going to click foreheads. And then guess what? I heard the spike. I heard it pinged. I still have paint shells. I still have my ultimate. Guess what? This round is secured. That is just wild display of accuracy and just general know-how on this game, as of course we're going to see Mound fought for here. Paranoia is going to secure this space as well.
Considering too that Truth literally just W keyed that round into sight, there was no tacticalness about it. It's going to be an aggress by BPC. They can basically do no wrong at 11-1, and to end out their first half, they just steal everything from distance. Carnage finds it on and off angle as they're buried out here in the C. They at least have Spike to their name, and Preds gets rid of Truth. This is a 3v2. Columbia finally in a position of advantage. Do they think that they're going to be going to C? They simply stick to their positions, and this could be a 3v1 swing here out over to A.
It could be. However, I believe door is open, so Limp's going to get away with their life and kind of just play off sound cues here. And I think this is extremely smart, right? Give the time to rotate. Oh, no, actually, Limp's just going to get aggressive. And yep, he's gone. Okay, so we know this is full A. We're going to regroup together. We're going to see what happens. Are they going to leave a lurk? The answer to that one is actually no. They're just going to go ahead, kind of chill out on the site. We got the turret covering the flank. Good old Tommy. Gonna make sure that nobody's coming through baby door. Now Predge is gonna sit here. It's gonna be 2 from heaven. You have the chance to potentially isolate some angles here with the Omen. The silent drop gonna be used as well. Limp getting tagged up just a little bit. Jumping right click is gonna be there. Running out of ammo though as Preds gets 1. Samo is able to sneak onto site. He has been the stalwart for BPC this game. Gonna use that turret as a little sneak, but it's gonna be Preds able to keep CC alive for now and not put them on match point.
My position for the possibility. The probability is very low. The possibility is literally a 0 or a 1, and it's a 1 right now here for the Cougars. I'm not gonna get hyped about them until I see around 11-8. Something around there really is the viability. But this is the great first step that has to be taken if you're truly gonna turn out an 11-1. You can really turn BPC into a kind of confused child, depending on how they approach this next one. An outlaw will be online. Where is tapping? They're going to be from C position. Depends on what they get from this outlaw, but they just had to expend both bullets as that high tide came through.
Caps gets an orb and a death right there. So, I mean, you add a little bit to the ult total just to get yourself there a little bit quicker. I don't really mind it, as everything is going to be checked by this Prowler here. But I'm glad we think the same way there too, because I don't believe in a comeback. It's fake news until it's 8. Like, I'm sorry. Until you start spreading that and you start getting that economic advantage and build it up to the point where it almost feels catastrophic, then yeah. But Carnage able to find one here. Should be able to find the 3rd round. Here's Carnage once again. Nope, it's Samo. My bad. I didn't realize who he was peeking. Got to put some respect on that man's name right now.
Do you not know who they is? Come on. Gotta know. Samo even full and wide as they eventually find more. Preds into a 1v2 swing, shooting at shins, but it still renders the same result regardless. They go off the turn and they're stuck, and that means they gotta bounce through. So you lose 1, all of 1. Samo is the last one to fall by Switchblade's hands, and that's the first couple that goes over to Columbia. And now there's gonna be some cash brought in, but BPC, they also have the leniency. If they want to force buy onto some weird rounds, they really still can.
They have the ultimate amount of wiggle room right now. You have about 6 rounds to play with before it gets to dire straits. Really, it's 5 because we both said, you know, we don't believe in anything until it gets to 8. But looking at this, I am kind of happy just for the future in general, because Columbia was finally able to win a pistol round, and that's the first one of the entire series so far that they have won. So 3-1. Maybe on their next pick, they'll be able to kind of swing that in their favor a little bit and just kind of build some momentum on it, right? Because pistol rounds can be difficult, and sometimes it can be just absolutely random. Sometimes it's just a random classic right click that ends like 2 of your team members. So it can be what it can be. I do like seeing the default here out of CC, kind of playing this slow and collected, not really spreading too far apart from each other. Viper, I want to see start taking some space right now, because we have heard nothing out of A. They're just playing strictly on site right now, as it looks like the spike's going that way as well.
Biggest thing that I've seen for Lotus is how much of set piece style play really hinges, at least at the pro level, and probably even to the high collegiate like we are now, off of what you get from your oh my goodness, from your raise for their showstopper, because that is just one massive pick. And like you talked about, finding that first blood is such a great pivot point for success, especially because this is so spread out and you have to be basically in a 2-1-2 somewhere. Now as the pressure kind of collides, you're gonna have this 3-player stack defensively for the Barons, and they do have the weapon differential. That paranoia will get used, and they do tag one off of the haunt, but that's gonna be some early paint shells, and we haven't gotten to sight yet.
Well, we have gotten to sight, and we've gotten the showstopper as well. However, not going to find any value from that one. Uses it immediately, doesn't try to take any space with it. Cove is going to protect the plant here, so it is going to go down as Legend finds Limp. We're going to see some pre-fire coming out. Samo is here. He's behind. So much potential for value. 2 coming directly from that angle. 2 are extremely low as well. Samo somehow flicks on one through the smoke. So 1 bullet tracer and decided to end somebody's life. Can Samo be stopped? Like, this is like, this is a 3v2, but it feels like, okay, well, now that 4-tapping is gone, this might be a little bit more difficult for Samo.
They're gonna keep that rifle. Samo's all about the HP merchant. They know that's right in front of them. They're looking for exit frags to make this difficult. They know someone's hanging out in tree at minimum, and they're gonna get one. Legend ends up, even with 26 HP, finding a big dub, and they're gonna be able to trade up and get themselves a new Vandal skin. So BPC does drop a third. It's tit for tat, losing or winning the bonus round on either side.
Yeah, and this might kind of be the steamroll that they were looking for, right? It gives you that opportunity once you pull down the bonus to start just building that econ extremely high. We see 5,700 on Switchblade already, and I mean, Legend grabbed the gun that was touched by Samo, so at some point you have to be like, you know what, he's can't miss right now for the most part, so let's just take his gun instead of my teammate's gun. I actually had a Guardian that round as well, so being able to pick that up I think is pretty big, just to go ahead and get that small upgrade for yourself. As we see the Prowler go ahead, try to check out B. Not a lot of found. Look at this 4-stack over on A, and this is kind of what we were talking about, what we wanted to see out of CC, right? Like, you're supposed to lose these rounds on paper. Why not gamble and play a giant stack and see if you can get some extra picks, maybe just end some lives?
Yeah, and that's actually, they're going to be vying into C. I thought maybe the B was going to be the hit, but they've just simply taken over door in difference of that. The haunt goes through, recognize that no one's hanging out of those tight angles, but it's a retreat of the fade from C, and that stack is going to be made in opposite and nullify. The dark cover goes down, but they're flipping that door regardless, and they're being very tentative, but also very, very overly careful about where they end up choosing and picking their poison. The turret gives them away as they put that high tide up, so now Preds takes some space over to Seeker. The door's not even down. They will get this plant down, though, eventually. Don't want to congregate too tight. Don't want to narrow the space, because that's where BPC actually has a chance.
They definitely do have a chance towards Baby to at least open some things up. Not when CC Legend able to go ahead and take that one down, but Samo is going to win the Sheriff headshot once again. That's actually another one from Truth. And now CC, maybe they're dropping like flies. We're going to go ahead. We're going to see that Smart. We're going to see that C's coming out as well. Calvin's going to be able to find 2 here. Can he make it 3? The answer is no. Limp finds that. Now, 2v1. It's going to be Limp taken down by Switchblade, coming from behind to go ahead and get the backstab to get CC 5.
Without the round win, that was one of the best outcomes possible for an eco out of BPC. It's considering they took so many weapons out of the hands out of the Columbia College Cougars, but there's still a lot of cash that's been really snowballed, and I'm not gonna lean towards it yet. I started to believe, and as soon as I start doing that, it just gets flopped. So rifle round is in this position. We don't have any ultimates online yet. A few that are building. I want to see maybe if a Viper Pit comes online. We haven't seen much fluid kind of 4-tapping except for trying to being forced to run away and true spend space. But it is a 5-man rush. But there's a lot of util in their way on it.
There's certainly a lot of util. There's also a Samo in their way, who is 1 away from a lockdown. So if they get a kill here in tree and they're able to keep that space, it's going to make it that much more difficult. But the C's combo is going to ruin it. Pred's able to take down Samo, get that space on A. This plant should be going down. 4-tapping, occupying heaven, but not going to go ahead and swing this, especially with the high tide already up there. We have walls all over the place. It's like my first coloring book right now. It's just a whole bunch of lines all over the map as the Viper's Pit also dropped on the A site, trying to secure this post plant.
3 coming through in from stairs as they want to walk in, but it's an ego duel all the same. They find one at 1 HP. The Nightfall is going to come online here. 4-tapping in Truth and Limp, and then to join them is Caps. Everyone good for one outside of it, as that Viper Pit really spelled damage for BPC. That was their rifle round. They go right back to Sheriffs, but I'm not going to lie, they've been pretty decent on Sheriffs, at least Samo when they start them off.
When Samo gets it going on the Sheriff, you can expect at least 2, but one player right now isn't going to do everything. And
right.
at that point, Samo's kind of been mostly the hero. Obviously, we had that round with Samo and Caps where they were, 2v4 against an eco and were able to take it out. I'm just interested to see kind of what they start to do to maybe enable Truth to get a little bit more active, or enable the rest of the team just to get a little bit more effective trading off, because we haven't really seen that, as we see a nice Nano Swarm going to come in on Samo's feet. However, not going to take any damage from it, but it does force him off the angle, and that's something you definitely don't want Samo holding an angle there on you, regardless of what's going on.
It's kind of strange though. They expend the Nano Swarm to get them off angle, don't press for any advantage, and they actually gave up that sight line. So kind of a weird choice, to be honest. But maybe just all of a tease. They're not expecting to have to rely on swarms to begin with, and they just want to enforce a bit of util pressure. But BPC hasn't bitten. They have a 3-2 stack, and right now it's gonna be the full rumble in the jungle by the Cougars. They can choose between B if they want to hit that door, but this is very quiet until obviously got loud behind the Nightfall.
It is very loud very quickly as the Haunt is going to be used. Here's 4-tapping. Are you going to be able to find the frag? The answer is no, as more and more flood on the site. Here's Samo, completely deafened, doesn't have a lot going on, still able to somehow find one because it's Samo. Why not? Here's a Limp on the backside. We have the flood coming in, however, not the best weapons to really flood retake with. Is Switchblade going to be able to find the first one? Going to be able to be, a couple revealed by the Haunt may give a little advantage here to see our BP as they look for just a kill here, just playing this slow, trying to just wiggle this angle. Truth's gonna go ahead and throw a blast back down. You're gonna hear that. Oh, and it's gonna be Switchblade with 2 headshots back to back. Doesn't even worry about that blast pack. It's gonna be 7-11, and Monkey Man, we're one away from that point where we said we might be able to believe.
Fake till late. Fake till late. Yep. Not believing yet, but it's getting there. And this rifle round, because of that visionary, is one of the most important in the entirety of map 2, and maybe the entirety of this series, considering that if BPC actually takes this map, they'll be at a 2-0 and have to force Columbia College into a reverse sweep. And the only thing that could really save the Cougars at that point in time is a list, which could happen.
I mean, the latent curse is more powerful than any other one I know, so I'm definitely excited to see kind of what happens, knowing, oh my, Carnage, the turret got a kill, turret headshot out here. Tommy doing work, definitely love to see that. Switchblade hanging back over here. Defender Killjoy was able to detain one. I believe that's going to be the Killjoy who's in the box near B. It's going to allow them to get back out though. Yeah, 3v3, a lot of action in that first 40 seconds of this round. However, everybody's kind of retreated. Everybody's just playing their agent. They're playing for their lives and just trying to poke and prod for any kind of information. However, at least you have the fade up on CC to potentially get you a Haunt on site to know that you're clear before you enter.
Look at the util kind of just cheats as they're getting the tuck screen to really keep that baiting. As they ran away, the read by BPC was the send 2 over to A, and they use that tuck screen to kind of tease them a little bit. Truth has a showstopper. Lockdown's available. They could get very aggressive, get very ornery, looking for a kill. They do, in fact, take down that lockdown, and the audible might have to be used to take open this door. The Haunt tags them. They're going to open the door, going to have to rush to B. There's not going to be a lot of time for this plant, Visionary.
There's 15 seconds left. You have to be able to take out Limp. Finds one. Are you able to find 2? The answer is no. Plant is going to be dropped. They do have time for it, and a great job using the poison orb to go ahead and get the reposition down. Also, the snake bite just to delay the push out from sight as Switchblade just kind of plays around this awkward headshot angle, but gonna back off and play into Cubby. We're gonna see Caps trying to take a little space. Legend is there. Oh my, Caps, what a flick. You have the opportunity now. The wall bang, gonna get it. BPC says the comeback is fake news. It's gonna stay on 7.
This is why we've now come up with the t-shirt relative phrase, fake till late. Cannot truly believe until that near infinity style symbol number shows up, because infinite possibilities are available to the Cougars, except when they simply are tagging them. Caps, that pixel swing visionary to find them out in main, just and then immediately off of the wallbang too. Wow. Finally stuttering out the Cougars. BPC is on this current map 2 point, and they're trying to get all the way into championship point.
I certainly hope they can find championship point. If you know, if you are a BPC fan, CC has done a great job of clawing their way back into the game, but I mean, unfortunately, right now both teams only have one on the defensive side. However, BPC was able to win theirs a solid 4 rounds before BPC. I'm sorry, before CC won theirs. So I'm definitely excited to see what is going to come of this. We're seeing a pretty big stack towards the A site, a little bit of noise make. We're not going to really see anything as far as the poison orb is going to be up, and the Viper wall is not, as Preds going to be looking to go ahead and use this utility, potentially push in. Caps is going to be able to find one, get traded instantly. Doesn't expect limp there. Going to be holding this spot. 4 tapping going to be awkward right now, and we traded Snakebite for Snakebite. Limp stays alive here in Tree, but it's a very precarious position, and he's going to go down as Truth looks to potentially find the frag here.
Uh-oh.
Okay, that's going to go down. I was curious if he missed it. 4 tapping going to be able to find the one on the backside there. That's going to be Raps. BPC going to be on championship point here on the next map after taking 2 defensive rounds in a row, which is the first time that's happened in all 20 rounds of this game.
Wow. Wow. The defense just tough out in these parts, apparently, and BPC making sure that everyone knows about it. I was thinking for all of maybe a hopeful moment that both of these teams would have to go back into the same mark of getting that double overtime situation, but we never even got to start really thinking about that because BPC, they pulled up the bootstraps and just kind of started out the Cougars, and there was a couple times that honestly I think they were finding that momentum in front of them and got lost in the sauce because of it. I mean, you called up Gordon Ramsay for how they were just getting cooked and sliced and diced, but when they peeked into that door for Tree, it was raw. They just walked through smoke and expected, oh, there's one at Tree, that's all we have to deal with, and then they got caught by the Omen off their flank side right. So unfortunately, I feel like there's just something kind of missing in the patience for Columbia right now.
I mean, we also saw how much value the Omen was able to get BPC in that entire map. I mean, you're comboing the Nightfall with, you know, the from the shadows. You're able to get in sight completely unnoticed. You're able to get 2 or 3 kills off of it. It just really comes down to those little things. We saw Paranoia get massive amounts of value as well. The Harbor just doesn't have that. We saw the Reckoning used a couple times, wasn't really too effective against either the retake or, you know, getting yourself onto site. And it just comes down to one of those things where you already have a wall. Running 2, I get the thought behind it. It just didn't work out in your favor today. And I guess we go to Bind next.
Yep, Bind's going to be our third and perhaps final map. Can the Barons close it out, or do the courageous Cougars out of Columbia find a way to fight back? You get to find out all that here for the ECAC Valorant Spring Finals in just a moment.
Run. Last player standing.
Welcome back, everyone, to the ECAC Spring Valorant Finals. I'm Hail Monkey Man in the booth alongside Visionary 1, and you guys have seen a couple of good maps. The second one, a much more dominant feature to start off and to end with by the Barons of Brewton-Parker College. And Visionary, I think it's no less now to say that this is up against one of the toughest things to do in most esports is reverse sweep, especially here in Valorant. Columbia College, they have to win 3 in a row if they want to make the big show.
I mean, let's not even talk about just esports. The hardest thing in sports in general, too. Like, the only one it really happens in is hockey, for the most part. Like, it's happened once in baseball. It's never happened in basketball. Like, there's very, very little opportunity. You have to play perfect Valorant from here on out to even give yourself a chance to make it to map 5. And with the way BPC has been playing, with the way they've been coordinating util, it's going to be tough sledding ahead. But we go to bind. Obviously, we're going to see 2 controllers here. We're going to see a Viper. We're going to see a Brimstone. Raze is still going to be ever present. And Prez is actually the top frag of the last lobby. So maybe they're heating up just a little bit. They were actually 6 first bloods as well. So they were able to bring the heat, at least in those initial duels. I think it's finding those multi-frags that's really going to be the big thing to kind of bust open the CC attack. And
the biggest thing that we're going to find out of this is both teams are going to be bringing out their Raze. I mean, and it's really been, can Preds overcome Truth? Will Truth stick around and continue to just lay to waste both of these squads? I don't know. Visionary, when we get into what is at stake here, the pressure is on. Not only does Columbia have to win here, they must win the next couple. And this is for the final spot for CECC. This ECAC Spring Final couldn't be any sweatier, at least for the Columbia College Cougars. On the other side, Brewton-Parker can kind of try a few things out if they really want to, but we do get standard stock over for Columbia to start.
Not really a surprise there at all. We are going to get, I mean, maybe having a second initiator with the Sova instead of running the Cypher might be the one variance that we do see. We have seen a lot of teams kind of just dump the Sentinel idea on bind just because of how easy and effective it is to use those teleporters and rotate, kind of rendering some setups useless. But actually, Limp is going to switch over to Viper, and we're going to see 4-tapping hovering every duelist in the game right now. We've seen ISO, where's Neon? Bring it out to me. Like, I'm just a little bit confused. Okay, Deadlock. Yeah, Clove is banned.
Right? Yoru!
Let's go!
That's what I was wondering about. Okay, Yoru is a make or break pick on this map, but it's actually one of the near safest cheeky picks in terms of agent coming onto this map. I like a Chamber as a counter offensive, a huge agent really for getting in, getting out, and survival rates. But Yoru does much the same way and allows for that cross map teleportation, not just because we got TPs, but because they got the gate crash as well. So this could be huge depending on what 4-tapping does on this Yoru.
It's just interesting having to readjust your mindset from playing controllers and valuing your life to I'm going to be aggressive and I'm going to do this. So it's going to be very interesting in the course of a series, right? If you log into Valorant and you play ranked one day, you're going to be like, yeah, okay, I'm playing Yoru, it's whatever. But you've just played Viper for 2 maps straight and you're going to switch over to this. It's a completely different mindset, but it does open a ton of opportunities for your offensive side on bind. And we all know that offense on bind is probably one of the hardest things just because there is no mid for you to take, right? It is either hit a site and be successful or lose a couple of members, rotate, and then try to be successful again. And after you're not in that 3v5 scenario, you know, it's kind of a lose-lose at that point because it's that much more difficult to go ahead and take the site. I'm also interested in the fact that we see 2 skies here instead of the Gecko. The Gecko has been massively popular recently.
It's all that extra bonus intel. Preds gets rid of tapping, and then there's a ton of trays, an extension thereof. Truth is going to put out the paint shells just to try and get rid of some space. Limp! Not at all limping at the starting line, but Legend finds off angle again. CC, they see 1 extra shot, and even with that extra bullet pen into the wall, Legend does not stray. And this has been that key player, that shining light that's given the Cougars some moments, but they connect with at least one, maybe with another as they're chasing them down. They know they only got 6 bullets.
They do. Spike is still down, so we're going to go ahead and try to get the information and see if anybody's still peeking. He knows that both members are probably going for that Spike. Now, the question is, do they take the teleporter and back out, or do they just fight Legend here? Just go ahead and take the double swing. Caps does eat the headshot. Doesn't seem to matter. Truth's going to land there, so it's going to be 1-0 in favor of BPC.
That was a lot of action, and that's pretty much what you get in not just the early rounds, but with bind, whenever these initial moments occur, they're just going to be kind of going through TP and having a ball. The gate crash is so effective because you can defend into tree, toss it into your right side TP, and then immediately be able to support over into showers. So again, how many have we had? 5 pistol rounds. BPC has taken 4 of them. Pretty effective to start most of these maps.
Oh, it's certainly effective as we see 4-tapping out here with the Outlaw. Okay, looking for those eco frags. Gonna go ahead and get triple swung, get out of dodge. That's the one thing that's always hard about playing the Yoru is the sheer fact that that TP is much slower than Chambers, right? So you see him eating damage as he goes on and tries to play their life. It's gonna be one backing out here. Oh, Limp, you naughty, naughty man. Okay, well, Limp's able to get one with a judge. It's gonna be trades back and forth. Oh my Preds, what?
What? They just jump swing in the classic. You said it's free, and they're getting huge returns on that lack of a need and investment. Tapping at least grabs one with that Outlaw as they send themselves out. That decoy not being bitten into. Gotta connect it so hard. You're gonna have the curve, but Limp finds Calvin, gets rid of their twin. They toss that weapon aside.
4-tapping's like, yeah, I didn't really get much value out of this. He got the triple swung, ate a couple of bullets, and no, he did it so he could give Limp a Vandal out of that. So, okay, Limp definitely deserves it because he did get full blinded by 4-tapping as well. Luckily enough, was able to aim before the blind took place. I gotta ask you though, do you get blinded more by Yorus on your team or by Phoenixes on your team?
Ooh, Skies, but Phoenix more than Yoru. That's kind of the hierarchy. Sky, Phoenix, Yoru. Because at least with Yoru, I know to look away. Oh, 4-tapping. Does find him first, and then puts at least a bit of damage down lane. Not just a bit, but that's nearly an entire HP bar. And this is starting to seem like a big payoff on this Yoru, but also on just the aim game that's getting off this Outlaw.
I mean, the aim game has kind of been half of the difference as well as we get a flash out towards long. Nothing going to be found there. Switchblade. They're still trying to aggress this. And I mean, you got 2 members that were down to 10 health. Obviously, you do have this guy, the regrowth. So 1 is back to 100. You're not going to be able to bring Switch back, however, to almost anything after healing all of that damage. All of that horrible damage as Limp is going to be able to take out Preds, who was tapped for 140. And there's even more here. You get the assist, you're able to take it down, and the Outlaw is just so pivotal on these bonus rounds because it can do enough chip to make everybody else's life easy.
That Poison Orb is going to clear up window at least, as Caps has to back away, but they nearly found it on the initial peak from Columbia's Viper. So now Legend, as they get deep up into Hookah, I think that was a great read. They're stuck north and south. This is going to be a tough swing. They see the ponytail off the Australian, and Caps is going to back on up. Legend's going to jump out window. They got to get this plant off. They got 20 seconds.
Yeah, 20 seconds and a lot of dreams because you're going to have 2 coming from the north and 1 from the south, and you're going to have to be able to effectively hold off both angles. Also, Calvin here, no snake bites to work with either, so it's going to be that much more difficult to be able to hold off this post plant. You have to do it with guns and guns alone. Okay. Legend's going to be able to get 1. Calvin gets the other. Now we're in a 1v1, both at equal health. We're going to see if Legend can get this. Oh, the turn from Truth. Gonna get CC around here, and they're able to survive the bonus round coming out from BPC.
But what an expensive buy-up round for Columbia as you go down to your last man, and all that's left is Legend sticking it out, but finding a break for the Cougars because BPC had been running away with 3s easy peasies here for their last few pistols. But now we rock into it. I think everyone bought, actually. So this is a wonky round in terms of buy. We're going to have a total of 2 actual rifles, and then it's just like some Buckies and Bulldogs. Ugh.
Buckies and Bulldogs is the name of my next band, by the way.
What is y'all's theme? Is it ska?
Oh, it's definitely a ska band. It's the scrappy, lovable ska band. You know, the one ska band that definitely doesn't have any of the original ska culture that pops up every 10 years and makes one popular song and disappears, as we get an early pick here as well. 4-tapping, just, you know, throwing some shots down. They're trading back and forth. Gonna get domed here, but the regrowth once again gonna save Switchblade. Nice wide swing, gains a little space. Gonna be able to solidify this orb. Not much else is gonna be going on though. So we get 2 still stacked there, and it looks like everybody else, including the Spike, rotating over to this B long side.
Limp chilling with a Bucky. That's the only time I got an ace on bind was with a Bucky in the exact same room. So I believe in Limp. They can do it. Cougars, though, in this estranged buy, a Guardian hanging out down long. They're going to use this Guiding Light. The Seekers actually get expended, and they recognize that there's multiple people on this site. They've stayed long enough for all numbers to get drawn. Carnage on the Bulldog does rend out Caps, and Truth walks away with a weapon upgrade. They got that Stinger kill from distance. They get the fade away, and that's good for 3.
Oh my, another 1v1. Truth lost this one versus Legend last time. Believe they don't have any smokes, I'm sorry, any flashes to work with here though. Just the regrowth, gonna go ahead and pop that. Trying to bait this out. Truth, are you gonna swap? Why are you what? The knife out? What is going on? You have an opportunity. Legend wins it again. But that was the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen in my life. You peek a showstopper with your knife out and you win?
Who doesn't aim the showstopper down at the feet? Splash damage, it's massive. Take advantage of it. They whip it around like they've got a rifle aiming for a headshot. Send it yard past Legend, who really is living up to the name. Visionary, that was wacky.
I don't think I've ever seen that. I'm gonna chalk that one up. I have never seen someone with the clock winding down with 2 seconds to go sit there and just decide, you know what? I heard him pop showstopper. I'm gonna peek this with my knife. Like I don't get it, but it is what it is. 4 tapping is gonna be hit by the dog here, lose a little bit of their health for it. However, they're able to go ahead and gate crash over to safety. We get another hard default coming out of this CC roster, and honestly, their patience has really paid off for them. However, we're going to see the dimensional drift maybe get some value and try to spot someone out. Going to go ahead and run through teleport as well. Nothing at all spotted. Everybody holding their positions. BPC still completely in the dark about where any player is.
I mean, the good news is that if you saw nothing, then that means they're not there. So something gained. Finally, the Pathfinder is able to do the job that the Yoru simply could not and see somebody as they leap through mid. Call it that if you will. Separated by a very tall building and some space that we never get to see as players. Showstopper used an opposite as they try to find that infiltration point. 4 tapping looking to protect them, and no one falls. Maybe these rockets just simply cannot get on target. Preds in a trade to find Truth, but they're playing down a member in this 3v4.
Now it's a 2v4. Samo able to find 2. Legend gonna be able to trade one back, and Legend, unfortunately not as legendary this round. A little insurmountable in the 1v3 with people peeking him from all different directions, but he's going to be able to go ahead and take it down as BPC takes the lead once again. And mind you, I just want to shout this out right now. BPC has won 4 out of the 5 pistols that have been played so far in this series. They're making their lives easier, and we're going to go ahead and see an early timeout here come out from CC, and this is something I like to see. You're calling it on the eco. You have a whole extra basically round time to go ahead and devise a strat to deal with what BPC has been bringing you.
And you're kind of looking at how you can weaponize Calvin and Carnage. I feel like there's been some rough positions. And those two in particular will be very strong defensively. And working into round 5, you've been able to split it mostly even. This one could go rough into a 4-2, but you're keeping everyone calm. Recognizing that there's pressure in these situations, how you were able to play away from the dimensional drift, but then simply getting caught just out in the open. There's so many times that Legend was just surrounded when they went to A site last time, and that's just not making the best use after you were so tactical about your delay moving back into that round in the first place.
It's one of those things, right, where we see 4 tapping being able to go ahead and kind of spread himself out just by using those gate crashes, but at the end of the day, CC going to be coming on in eco. You have to be expecting 4-2 score line here. What are you going to bring to the table to kind of shake things up? Because you don't have that kind of uber dimensional agent, no pun intended, like Yoru, right? You don't have somebody that can be in 2 places at once. It's going to continue to make your life a little bit harder, especially when flashes don't regenerate on Sky anymore. I don't think we really talk about the value on bind and the thing that that kind of threw away, as we're going to go ahead and just get rid of that decoy just in case.
Just enough to be like, all right, are they messing with me? Because any good Yoru will do it at least once.
Yeah.
Maybe between maps. Either way, they know that someone's nearby. Classic gave it up. Viper's Pit will be used to make this a much more narrow situation. So you either have to rotate long or showers will be your only entry.
This jump spot is gonna hopefully spot somebody out. Doesn't seem like it is yet. Truth might be in for a world of hurt. There's one shot landed down. Do they know how many people? Now they do. Everybody rushing forward right now. Great flash coming out from Tapping. Gonna be able to find a second with a wall bang. Gonna flash out once again. Paint Shell is gonna slow it down. Nice flash coming out from Truth. Tapping though stands strong, and there's Truth crab walking. I don't think you're supposed to be completely accurate while you do that, but lands the headshot anyway. It's 4-2.
At least a small accuracy bonus, as you know, it was a 1v4 swing filled with sheriffs and pistols, and then Util Hell was found in response against the Cougars. So the first 6 now has a 2x lead here for BPC Barons as they walk into another rifle round that is so pivotal and necessary for the Cougars to be just fast as well as effective on. You still have that orbital strike that wants to get weaponized. I feel like clearing out, maybe doing kind of an A push to it, but look at immediately as they just steal this long B.
And do you know that Tapping is still here is the real question. Are you going to peek that? Like, he could have teleported out. Well, you definitely know he's there now. Some wallbang's going to be there. Good to go ahead and jump back, but Limp's going to be able to find one in Hookah. I think this is the first time somebody has pushed Hookah at all, to be completely honest with you, other than like just off the rip. Some good chip damage done both ways there, but this is the first time we've seen some initial push towards Hookah over here as we get 2 currently stacking up towards long. We're going to get the Neural Theft going to be burned as well to go ahead and give some detail about where everybody is. However, it's a 2-2 split, and with a 3v2, are you just going to fight the devil you know or the devil you don't? As that's going to be a great flash by Tapping. Going to be able to find 2, make it 3. Tapping has the answer immediately.
And not only was that Neural Theft used, not just to gain general intel, but also if they should rotate away, hit that TP that was right behind them as that extra option. And there was no bite. I believe it was by both Truth as well as Samo, who were chilling on A, recognizing their teammates had it done. They were good. They didn't need them, and they were waiting for that call to be made. And knowing that they were basically, you know, all right, we're kind of still in a numbers advantage here. They lose it out against Tapping and Limp, who were covering each other very well from that hookah to backside position.
And Tapping's util has been impeccable. He's got 7 assists already. Like, wow. As a duelist. He's out assisting the rest of his team as we're going to see CC go ahead and try to explode here into U-Haul. Going to go ahead and get hit with a little bit of pain shells. It's going to be an actually phenomenal throw. Everybody's going to back out after the space is going to be retaken by Truth. Going to go ahead and just throw it right into the smoke, make sure that nobody's too aggressive there. Carnage not able to get this frag. Samo's able to find that one as Preds. Nice position, going to be able to find 1. That's the problem with the Stinger. Typically 1 and done if you're going to spray. Makes it that much more difficult to be able to get an extra frag as Tapping. Going to be here in the corner. Going to go ahead and teleport out with their live as well.
I thought Tapping was about to show us that a Yoru can actually jump on top of a single box. That would have been wild tech to learn. Caps is going to retreat back into this site. Trigger does a play. They're good for 2. Calvin now in a 1v2, but a very hurt Truth. Tapping, here's the close plant, and it doesn't go down, which means they guessed right, and Tapping can actually cover it up. Truth is going to be staying as a stalwart defender, but it's right through their legs that Tapping gets the kill on Calvin.
That's so smart. And it's just diabolical to high-low like that. You're intentionally giving your opponent the opportunity to go ahead and actually get a win for the round by doing that. However, everybody knows that at this level, the crosshair placement isn't going to be at somebody's waist. So you know what? Let's just go ahead and do this because he's going to be aiming for heads anyway. And that's how the round ends up going. 6-2 right now. BPC is just doing work, and Tapping and Truth have just become this dynamic duo of just rolling together basically everywhere. And you see all of the Yoru flashes that are coming in and able to just enable Truth to get these early picks. It's actually wild to see.
All the fake out just to make them bite. That actually gives a lot of space over to guess who? Truth. Orbital strike gets used up, but it's just to create a separation factor. Truth doesn't fade away from that. In fact, they just kind of reinvent themselves, reinvite into this full contact play, and they, based on this, in working into this marketplace position, are really just delaying what could be the inevitable. A third around the corner. Truth welcomes this fight. They're gonna find it, and this becomes a 1v5.
Oh my, and the spot coming out as well. Truth gonna get those paint shells back. Oh yeah, 2 right clicks will do it. Truth gets 4 on the round, and it's just one of those scenarios where BPC just takes the space that's afforded to them by the dimensional drift. Again, why Yoru proves to be so dynamic, because if that happens on any other map, well, hey, we know they're pushing us from extremities, so let's just flood mid. Well, guess what? Bind doesn't have a mid. You are trapped in your location.
You get to stare at all the spices and the sand, and if you don't make a purchase, well, then they're going to lay on the floor. So 7-2, BPC can do no worse than a 7-5 if Columbia comes back into this, but considering that they did have some extra weapons in the previous set, I think Limp can actually get aggressive-bessy about this. They jump out, and actually they're trying to run away. They're down to 4 HP, and look how swiftly Carnage just wants that gun.
I can't even say I blame them there, but 4-tapping immediately answers with 2 of their own, as CC Legend going to find 1. We're back to 3v3. The only thing that really matters here, however, is the gun advantage that's still held on to by BPC. Now, if the spike does go down, you do have that opportunity to use that orbital strike, obviously, to use that incendiary to potentially just delay and kind of cheese yourself to a post-plan win. But Caps has an answer, it seems like, right? Oh, yeah, goodbye.
No one's going to make that read. They're going to be looking off flank, but they're not going to be holding it and tapping. Could see themselves with another 4K. Legend sees a rifle down, and now it's just tapping, holding yard. It's a 1v3. The stronger position for Legend would be going to swing towards A, but they don't know where anyone is, and this is the sweatiest moment for them. They are flicking around, checking every angle. The guiding light's going to tattletale on them, so they can invite their Brimstone to come right back over. They get flashed. Oh, the Yoru flash plus the Sky flash is nasty when they can exchange it between each other.
You know, and the funniest part about this is I've seen some people, and I'm not gonna say anything about this chat because this chat's always been respectful, but the Yoru flash actually only appears on your screen after it bounces. But every time you spectate a Valorant game, you see the whole Yoru flash trail, right? So you think, oh, that's super easy to dodge. Why isn't it happening? Well, that just flashed behind you. What are you gonna turn into the flash when you hear it initially? Like the mind games are ridiculous too. Knowing that this guy can swing off just a momentary instant that somebody's blind as well. Yoru's just the king of absolutely messing with people's brains, and at this level, it's just beautiful to see when it is successful.
What's funny too is that a good Yoru will show you how easy it is to do that, but it is so difficult to become a good Yoru. That's like no sentence could be more difficult to really obtain the skill thereof. This spike leaned all the way to teleporter, and look how deep, because of the possible retry, or rather rotate that could be happening from that Brimstone there is. Caps gonna deep insurge it. They see this spike, the showstopper by Prez to try and just get him beyond this corner. Do they recognize that someone's behind him? No! Limp! Good for a second one, and Calvin finally cleans him up.
It's a 3v2 now, and I don't know if you noticed this is true. Oh, yeah, Truth. Gonna get Switchblade there. Where was the orbital strike used for Switchblade for CC that round? Because I didn't see it personally. I wasn't able to locate it on the mini-map, but I heard it being used, and I just got extremely confused. Okay, so they used it on mid-TP against the Yoru. That's ideal. That's ideal.
They were so mad. They were like, okay, we hate tapping on Yoru. Let's try and give him. By the way, you were talking about how effective they've been. 15-3, so 5.0 KD just right there. 10 assists.
Yeah.
In 11 rounds.
That's effective dueling.
That's pretty good.
I have never seen a duelist in one of my ranked games actually have that many assists, including myself, I would say, unless you get a great game where you can't finish a frag ever on Raze and just get a whole bunch of chip damage. Just 4-tapping, just gonna push forward. Yeah, the man literally doesn't care right now. He's on a heater, as Truth's gonna push this as well. That dynamic duo that we talked about. Honestly, these two on this bind map look like 10s and second. I'm not even lying. Like the way they enable each other to be successful is beautiful. And Carnage is gonna get spotted right here as well. But it says peekaboo to Caps. Okay, we have a little space. Now the question is, are you going to rush out of this knowing that everybody's close? The answer to that is yes, and 4-tapping finally shut down. Plan is going to go down 2v3. Viper's Pit going to be instantly burned here for CC to try to secure this round and make it a 9-3 half.
This is the first time in a long time that we actually get a plant for the Cougars, and they would love a 9-3 to at least end things out. The Seekers get used and just encounter as the Cyber Cage goes up. Legend finds themselves a 3K, and the lone solace for Columbia is that they didn't allow double digits in an even worse, an 11-1 to occur. 9-3 has to be a blessing for these Cougars. And to go on to the defensive position, and I think that really will be a strong suit for them, considering they're facing off against double controller, this, like you had mentioned a little bit back on Sunset. This is the key side both these agency comps are going to try and build from in the best way.
Yeah, but we have to understand as well that Bind is pretty darn defender-sided when it comes down to it. This is one of the most defender-sided maps. Again, just because that mid doesn't really exist. The TPs can help you, but only to a certain extent. But playing into that Cypher, as long as you're able to play your life, as long as you're able to sit down and actually anchor a site, you theoretically are going to have at least some form of intelligence on one of the sites. So we're going to see Skydog early here. The Leviathan Classic going to be brought out as well. I don't know if you saw the Twitter post from Sentinels, but they actually had to go ahead and prop up the Lev bundle because they got clapped. As that's going to be Truth with a beautiful shot to go ahead and open up this site. The dynamicism of Raze and the ability of Truth to just not care and know his teammate has his back and push has been phenomenal. I love seeing it.
Just trade for trade, blow for blow. Limp is able to grab another one off of that wall bang, and that's Truth. That's just spelling it out for the Cougars. And it's just in the form of one giant W. 10-3. Cougars need to turn this into a 10-4 good buddy, and Truth 20-7. They're followed by Tapping at 16-4 and 10, still at a 4.0 plus. But just, it's wild times. BPC came into this ECAC final with really kind of no question marks except for themselves. Maybe some unfinished business, especially because they tried for that LCQ. And now they just feel like they need to finish business here so they can move on.
I mean, it's the way to get into CECC, right? One of the biggest collegiate tournaments of the year. It's definitely hype. 4-tapping going to be here with a stinger. Okay, so the force up from
Nice.
CC going to catch him off guard. You know, you don't get a lot of early intel. You're able to go ahead and get a dry peek, get yourself a gun. It's a Limp going to be here. Light shields against a Crossfire. If they do decide to push this could be disastrous. Going to be very interested to see kind of what happens here. As one's going to drop down Carnage so they're not spotted from behind as the Limp's able to take out Calvin. Actually, they shut down that Crossfire, but Carnage able to get this and retrieve a Phantom. This might be swinging in CC's favor, and it definitely is now. 4v2.
Oh, that looks like me trying to challenge against a Classic. At least a Ghost. Caps will pick up a Bulldog and will simply slap Switchblade in the face with it. Kind of hurt. Bucky Gaming, go big, go strong, and that's Legend, who keeps their team in it 10-4. They hear you. They acknowledge you. And the Cougars will get at least an eco break, and that means they can really force BPC to be in a, well, in a strange position going to this next round, but they're still in a pretty big hole.
Yeah, I mean, you're in the hole, but that's a way to dig yourself out, right? Kind of go for the just the non-standard Valorant play. You know, it's 9-3. You're like, hey, you know, the curse is there. You know, let's save out. We can give them, you know, we can give them another round. We can give them 11. We'll be fine on the full buy afterwards. No, we're going to force up, and we're going to force you to play impeccable Valorant every single time. I'm so excited to see what else is going to be brought out to the table here. 4-tapping playing with a Judge on Yoru. You would think Truth and 4-tapping would probably be switching those guns right now due to blast packs, but you know, again, what do I know? I'm not a Radiant player like most of these are. As Pred's going to be up here right now, Switchblade going to be able to take out 4-tapping. Truth has the trade almost immediately. Look at how much space has been taken from Shower. They just gave it up for free, but Legend with the rat spot going to be able to find one of their own.
He had so much focus because of the extra Sky Smoke as well as the talk screen going up into lamps that they didn't even recognize that maybe they should defend a little bit harder into Shower. They played for one and not the other, and now that spike is separated from the two remaining Barons, and yet Limp just unafraid of taking contact against Legend. That's a lot of damage, and Limp is the one dishing it out. Carnage has the better weapon, but it doesn't matter because Truth matches him in kind and finds a 3K. That's rough for the Cougars.
Back-to-back thrifty rounds, essentially. Like back-to-back eco wins. Okay, you love to see it. It's the beautiful thing about Valorant, though, is when you have the abilities on like a game like CS where you can create that much space whenever you realize you have an opening, it allows those eco rounds to kind of expand and just explode onto site, and then give chances for more teams to win in those things. Seeing Truth do work like that with just a Vandal. Everybody else on Sheriffs. 4-tapping is taken down. The only other actual gun that isn't a pistol taken down immediately and you're still able to pull out that round. It's huge.
It's going to be 4 subs from here on, for the most part, out of Columbia. They bought over, and now they try to just kind of receive. Showstopper is going to get used by Truth, and that's Carnage out of the way for tapping. Caught him looking and looking. Truth finding the big missile into the old chest cavity of Calvin, but that ghost at least rends out Truth. But filling the spot is Samo, 2v4. But look at this hookah position.
The hookah position is nice right here for Preds. Oh, full blinded though. Yep,
no.
that position's gone. That is 4 people swinging at once plus a blind. Good luck, Chuck. BPC puts themselves on championship point here. A 3-0, a previously undefeated team who had not dropped a round in the entirety of the regular season and the playoffs is about to be 3-0'd in the finals.
Chaotic. Cougars did drop one map.
You're right.
Only
I'm sorry.
one. Only one.
I flipped it. That's my apologies. Brewton-Parker hadn't dropped a map.
11-0. 1 step away here for Brewton-Parker. And Cougars on their inaugural entry into the ECAC Valorant competition. Gonna see what will be next. Calvin sticking around for it, and they can't buy a kill, even as they have that judge in kind. Preds does get rid of Truth as they pop into the teleporter. And now Limp trying to exact a little bit more damage. The spike will travel to A, maybe for the final time.
It's looking like it right now. 4v5 numbers still in favor of Columbia. We're going to see the Seekers get expended as well as 4-tapping. Going to be in spawn. Did they hear this is the question. There's a nice little shoulder peek from Preds. Just trying to slow down the space that has been gained as 4-tapping just runs into 14 different people. Switchblade going to find one as well. But the Viper's Pit has been attained. It's going to make it that much more difficult to retake. Do you know they're there? Oh, Legend. No, Legend gets taken down. 3v1. Limp somehow still limping along. Going to be able to find one. Can you find more is the question. Just, oh my. Are you, oh, he ran out of ammo. He had the opportunity. This is chaos.
Limp trying to go full Call of Duty, and then he gets the 5th as a consolation prize. Limp trying everything they can just to hold out. They expended the Viper Pit and looked for the championship secure, but body after body send them in like the Russians in a full swarm. But wow. Limp just caught in the middle of all that nonsense.
It was chaos. It was absolute chaos. Like, first of all, that first flick was so violently wild too that the overcorrection came through, but he still somehow lived through the first one. And then the second one, same exact scenario. It's just, that's wild. That's peak Valorant right there. It's that simple. That is peak Valorant as Preds has to get out with their life here. A little difficult to do. Actually going to fake like they're running away. Going to get healed in process as well. There are 3 in hookah right now. Are you going to expect Switchblade here? The answer is yes, is 1 TPs on the back of sight. Legend going to go ahead, flash out of the smoke, see if they can take some space. 4-tapping, going to get the headshot. Pred's going to fall. 3v1 on the brink right now are Brewton-Parker.
My only regret is seeing a Brimstone in the final, possibly the final round of the entire series, die with an orbital strike. Carnage finds their first. Cyber Cage is in. They're gonna be tough to try and handle. They get a weapon, but that's it. Samo! Blammo to the noggin of Carnage. 13-5. Brewton-Parker 3-0s the Cougars, and they'll take the ECAC Spring Finals by storm. What a just prolific season as they go perfect on all maps from beginning to end.
A perfect season in a game like Valorant where it can be volatile, where there can be violent swings, where the economy isn't as easy to stack in a game such as CS is absolutely wild to me that you're able to go through and not drop a map for an entire season. Like the amount of practice, the amount of preparation, everything else. How did this team lose LCQ? Who do they run up against? Like
they ran into Blinn.
They ran into, you mean the VC Challengers team?
Yeah, so
yeah.
A little tough.
Maybe a little bit. Blenn's like, yeah, guys, we're playing Challengers. We can't do the league this year, but we're still going to find a way to make CECC. Thanks for LCQ, guys.
Well, they do feel like that there's even greater challenges in front of them, but the Barons out of Brewton-Parker, they were not going to leave this one behind. They had to finish out the season, and they do so in a big exclamation point statement kind of way for the Columbia College Cougars. For both these programs, actually, this is their first iteration into the Valorant ECAC sphere. They've had a few of the other esports titles, but this one in particular was their inaugural season, and seeing how Brewton-Parker was able to kind of lay down the law, you know that they want to do it again. And we're going to have a chance to maybe talk to them about that and maybe the forthcoming tournament thereafter in May. Stick with us as more of ECAC in an interview. We'll be back in just a moment. Welcome back, everyone, to the ECAC Spring Valorant Finals. Again, I'm Hail Monkey Man, and this is Visionary 1, and sadly, we do not have an interview. Everyone basically went off to go party and celebrate on the side of BPC. So Brewton-Parker, they will now be joining the top 20 going into the CECC. They win this final here, Visionary, and honestly, it looks like they really want to finish out some business over into Texas. Looking at how this squad is and how the rest of the squads that are out there, they've joined the likes of the best, and I think they really caught some good momentum, caught some good fire.
They caught some good momentum, and just the util combinations we saw out of this team was impeccable. That is the sign of a very well coordinated and drilled Valorant team. Their proven takes were great. The mid rounding was pretty solid as well, although half of their mid rounding was just, hey, Slammo, go kill. Oh my God. Look at the orange kitty.
It's adorable.
Half of it was Samo just turning his name into Bammo the way he was bopping heads for their mid rounding. But you know what? When you have a player that's that good, you might as well take advantage of it, right? And they did a great job of enabling all of their entries, making sure that there was util behind them. And that's something that we kind of saw lacking out of CC at times. And I really think that can make the difference in a series.
It really can. I mean, they show that they know how to flex, have fun. They have truth that simply is a W key warrior and pays off on the back end of that. Slammo, who can be kind of that anchor. And then 4-tapping, who apparently has a very surprising Yoru that we all should be very afraid of. That really spreads the love around the team. But spreading the love around the team, we also have our awesome production that was able to help out today. Professor Layton, as well as Brewmate, they were able to bring us on screen and online to you that were able to hang out. And of course, Visionary, it's so awesome and a privilege, like we were talking about before, being together, seeing these awesome teams and the talent out on the maps. I can't wait to do it again next time around, man.
Yeah, I mean, this is our second ECAC final. I couldn't have it any other way. It's always been a fun time with you. And not only that, but shout out to all the colleges that play ECAC and give us content every single week to actually just scream about and lose our minds over. I don't think you can make two boomers happier than continuing to play Valorant, to be honest with you. So I just want to say thank you guys. Shout out to all the teams out there. And I mean, even Columbia, right? Like, there's nothing really to hang your hat on. You lost one game the entire season. It's just unfortunate that it was the finals. Yeah. I mean, it's the Patriots situation, right? It kind of just is what it is. But you have to look back and reflect and see how successful you were, and you can always take bits and pieces of what you did best for the whole season to look back and improve on.
Yeah, that's exactly how it's going to be. The coaching is going to come there. The players are going to do the same thing. They're going to rally together, and they're going to improve. But for right now, that's one story done, and more in the future. On the other side of things, actually, I believe someone typed it out somewhere. Yes, they did. We will be having 7 p.m. tomorrow. It's going to be the Rocket League Elite Division Finals. That's Fisher College versus Concord University, with both Pyro J as well as Vaudable at 8 p.m. The Overwatch Elite Division Finals. That's, guess who? Fisher College Freaks versus Illinois Wesleyan University with Time to Light and Twin Salty. We appreciate you guys being here. I'm Hail Monkey Man. That's Visionary. This right now is Master Chief, and you have all been wonderful. We will see you next time.
Seconds left.